Good evening, everybody. Happy spring. Isn't it gorgeous outside? Welcome to the City Council, Citrus Heights City Council meeting of February 26, 2025. And if you would all please stand for the flag salute led by Councilmember Middleton. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Middleton.
Here.
Councilmember Nelson.
Here.
Councilmember Schaefer.
Here.
Vice Mayor Lopez Taff.
Here.
And Mayor Karpinski Costa.
Present. Next item is the video statement.
So this meeting of the Citrus Heights City Council is live and recorded with closed captioning. It is cablecast on Metro Cable Channel 14, the local government affairs channel on the Comcast and Direct TV UVerse cable systems. It is also live streamed at citrusheights.net. Tonight's meeting replays on Monday, March 3rd at 9 a.m. on Metro Cable Channel 14. This meeting can also be viewed on the city's YouTube channel.
Next item, please.
Next item is approval of agenda.
Move approval.
Second.
Moved by Portia Middleton and seconded by Mary Jane. We'll do it that way.
Okay,
You can have next time.
that's all right.
Okay. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? We're good. Next item, please.
Next item is presentation number 4, a presentation recognizing Gertrude Irene Thomas on the occasion of their 108th birthday.
Yes, you heard right. You heard right. She is going to be 108 years old at the last day of February, and I was contacted to see if we had keys to the city, and as far as I know, we don't have keys, but we have some other things that we will, give to her for her birthday. And for now, I'd just like to read this proclamation. I'm tickled pink about this. 108 years old. Her 2 sons are here, too. They're cool. Whereas Gertrude Irene Thomas was born in Roundup, Montana on February 28, 1917, in a little cabin in the hills, 18 miles from the nearest town. And whereas her family were dry farmers and grew all their food, raised animals, and did every chore necessary to maintain a working farm for a family of 6, and whereas in 1928 the family moved to Pullman, Washington, Gertrude graduated from high school with Opal, her older sister, on the stage of Washington State College. And whereas Gertrude later met her husband, Floyd Thomas, and they married on January 2, 1937 in Oregon, where they built a home and raised 5 children. And whereas in 1957, the Thomases moved to Rio Linda, where she lived until September 2024 when she moved to Citrus Heights. Her family has grown to 11 grandchildren, 25 great-grandchildren, and 15 great-great-grandchildren, with another on the way. Whereas Gertrude devoted her life to others, including volunteering for Operation Christmas Child, Union Gospel Mission in Sacramento, and working on election boards. She was a charter member of the First Baptist Church of Alberta, which her husband helped build, and an active member at the First Southern Baptist Church, Rio Linda. She taught Sunday school for many years. She says her secret to her longevity is to love and serve the Lord and to be happy. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the City Council of the City of Citrus Heights does hereby congratulate Gertrude Irene Thomas on the occasion of her 108th birthday and invite all residents to join with us in wishing her a very happy 108th birthday. Can we sing? Should we sing?
Let's do it.
Let's sing. Let's sing.
Ready?
Let's sing.
Okay. Ready?
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Gertrude. Happy birthday to you. Now, Gertrude doesn't hear so well, but she has all her mental faculties. Shouldn't we all be so lucky, you know? So I think this is great. I'd like to invite council to go down with me to have a picture taken with Gertrude, if we could.
I'll take a selfie of myself, I guess.
Give it to Elise.
A wonderful life. Wonderfully well lived. Oh, yeah. Such a lovely occasion. Yeah, Elise wrote the story for the paper also. It was a beautiful trip.
I've never seen it. All right. 1, 2, 3.
I think that's what makes us special.
Okay, and hold on.
We do take time to recognize people. It's a great place to live up here. Pacific is kind of similar spring. But it's great to see there's a lot of young people forming the future where things are going. And yes, the recognition for all the people.
Thank you. Yes. Do you want to be in it with them? Oh, yeah. I can use your.
So still.
All right. 1, 2, 3. All right. There you go.
I got 27 years to go.
That's incredible. Okay, next item.
Next item is presentation number 5. Presentation of the Citrus Heights Police Department's Distinguished Service Medal.
Good evening, Mayor, members of council. Alex Turcott, your Chief of Police. I have the distinct honor tonight to, in front of council and our public, family, and friends, to bestow one of our highest honors on some well-deserving police officers. Tonight we'll be bestowing the Distinguished Service Medal on these 3 officers here. I'll read a little bit about what they did, but first to talk about our Distinguished Service Medal. The Distinguished Service Medal is the second highest medal that you can receive in the police department. It's awarded to department members who distinguish themselves by performing well in a stressful situation, which involves the threat of imminent danger to themselves or others, by using exceptional tactics and judgment. The Distinguished Service Award consists of a personalized medal, blue, white ribbon, and a certificate of recognition. To get started, first we have 2 different events, 3 officers total. First, Officer LaCruel. Last year, Officer LaCruel performed exceptionally when responding to a service call involving a man armed with a knife. Being first on scene and by himself for quite some time, he used extraordinary skill to continue to de-escalate and manage the situation ultimately ending in a peaceful resolution which could have been avoided, which could have turned into a tragedy. For his professionalism and commitment to protecting the community and the priority he placed on de-escalation tactics, we're commending Officer LaCruel. So performing with remarkable composure under pressure and for exemplifying the highest standards of law enforcement, Police Officer Hayden LaCruel is awarded the Distinguished Service Medal. There you go. Next, Officer Hanson and Edwards. In July of last year, Officer Hanson and Edwards responded, along with other first responders, to a report of a structure fire here in Citrus Heights on Conover Drive. When they arrived, they learned that a wheelchair-bound gentleman was trapped inside and unable to extricate himself from the building. The officers made their way to the front door and entered the building through the flames to help carry the gentleman out to safety. For their performance and remarkable composure under pressure for rescuing a disabled member of our community despite the threat of imminent danger, police officers Christopher Edwards and Sheldon Hanson are awarded the Distinguished Service Medal. Tonight, I'm going to bestow the honor of giving the medal to Lieutenant Ken Lewis. Lieutenant Ken Lewis was personally on scene and assisted with the call as well, and he did his darndest to make sure these two heroes got rewarded. So I'm going to delegate my authority to give that medal to Lieutenant Lewis and give him the honor. A round of applause for the officers.
It's our turn.
Any comments by council?
I would like to start, and then we'll go. I just am so impressed when we have heroes, and I know that we have many heroes in the ranks of our PD, and now you join that rank of heroes. And so we appreciate, and I'm sure the man you saved, and the people whose lives you saved, are just grateful as can be.
Thank you so much for what you've done for our community. Just to even enter the police department, you're signing up to put yourself in these positions, and then you probably don't know how you actually will act when you're in them. But the three of you performed heroically, and you have my gratitude.
No, I don't think you guys really thought about this moment when you were doing what you're doing. You did it out of a sense of duty to the community. I can't tell you how much I appreciate that. Thank you.
We are so fortunate to have law enforcement professionals like you amongst our ranks. And there is nothing that we can say as a council to thank you so deeply for keeping our community safe, keeping our families, our children safe, and being able to put yourself in the line of danger and at a time when most of us would shrink back. We wouldn't know what to do, we would freeze. And that says that your character, your integrity, you have exceptional training, and I'm so very proud of all three of you. Thank you so much for what you do.
You know, what could I add from what my fellow council members have said other than, I know you do heroic things every day. This had to be extraordinary to be recognized in this way, and I'm so very proud that you decided to be extraordinary in those moments, because we could easily shrink back. We could easily think, oh no, what do I do? And you make decisions that are counterintuitive. Even though you put yourselves in danger every day, this is one of those moments in time where you think, oh my goodness, just a little bit of a different action could have changed the result. And so thank you for doing the very, very hard thing. Thank you.
And Mayor, members of council, I thank you for your kind words for these officers. I would be remiss if I did not recognize the loved ones that are here joining them today. It's because of their support that these officers can do what they do day in and day out. And so I would want to just thank those folks too and give them a round of applause for their support as well. If you'd like to join us for a photo? Yeah. All right, guys, right over here. I'm going to. And anybody here from the officers, if you'd like to come forward as well, you're welcome to come take a picture.
Go, if you're all, if your whole family, go right in there. Make room. Okay. Congratulations.
As we settle down, next item, please.
So our next item is presentation number 6, a presentation by the Sacramento Area Council of Governments on their 2025 Blueprint project.
Hi,
Hi.
James Corliss, Executive Director of
Give me a
SACOG.
second, Jay.
What?
Okay, so, all right. So I'm going to go ahead and do this introduction to James. So I've had the privilege of serving on SACOG for this is my 3rd year. I want to thank Mayor Daniels for appointing me and for Mayor Karpinski-Koster for appointing me. But today we introduce James Corliss, Executive Director of Sacramento Area Council of Governments. He's here to discuss the region's long-range transportation and land strategy, the 2025 Blueprint. As local leaders, it's essential that we recognize that our planning decisions don't just impact our city or our county. We shape the region. The way we approach transportation infrastructure and development influences everything from economic growth to environmental sustainability. By thinking regionally, we create a more vibrant, connected communities that enhance the quality of life for everyone in Citrus Heights and across the region. This perspective is especially important as we face difficult realities around transportation funding. We can't build everything we envision, so it's critical to be strategic and prioritize investments that meet the local needs and regional goals. SACOG plays a vital role to advocating for our communities at the state and federal level. By aligning our shared priorities, SACOG strengthens our ability to compete for funding that supports key projects. And I will tell you, I'm going to kind of break from here. I want to point out a couple of really key projects that we can all recognize that all that construction that's going on Auburn Boulevard is very much comes from SACOG. The project that we are now enjoying, the San Juan Complete Streets that we've done the first phase of, that's SACOG funding. So it's really important for as a council, as a community, we are a community member, and this really, being part of SACOG enhances the entire region. So I just want to, and that's where I'll close, so I'll turn it over to James. And James, thank you very much for everything you do. It's also, I just want to say that there are, I think it's 31 board members in 26 cities on this board. It's a really great opportunity to really build relationships amongst with all the board members and amongst other communities. During this time on SACOG, we have gone and visited Yuba City. We've done lots of remote meetings, and it really does give us a sense that we are a true community as a region. So with that, James, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Councilmember Schaefer, Mayor Karpinski-Costa, and all council members. That was a great intro. Thank you so much, Councilmember. So this plan really is the plan, as you said, Councilmember Schaefer, for the entire 6-county region, for all the cities within, and we're calling it the Blueprint. And so I'm going to tell you a little bit about it and why it matters and everything else. As Councilmember Schaefer said, we are your council of governments, which means you are part of a region, right? And every single local government sits around our table twice a month. And that's actually pretty unique and pretty unusual. Many councils of governments that cover this much area, this much territory, rotate their members. In fact, before 20 years ago, we used to rotate all of our members. All the cities in Sac County, I believe, had 1 seat or 2 seats. But we redid all that in 2003 when we did the original Blueprint plan from 20 years ago, and everybody now sits around that table. Everybody from Citrus Heights, City of Sacramento, Yuba City, Wheatland, Woodland, Galt, Isleton, you're all there. And I think that's one of the things that actually makes us truly unique and special, because you can all debate the issues and also come together when you need to come together and truly partner up. Our plan, our regional plan, looks out to the year 2050, and I'm going to give you some brief highlights of what that looks like. It's guided by a triple bottom line framework of equity, economic prosperity, and environmental sustainability. We've been at this now for 2 years. In fact, 2 years ago, I was here to kick off the Blueprint plan and to give you a little bit of a sense of what was coming. And since that time, we've done more outreach and engagement than we've ever done for any other plan before. We've done polling, focus groups, surveys. We've really been out there. We've done these tours to. We're going to hit every single city council and board of supervisors in the next few months, and we did that a couple years ago to kick it off. We've done pop-up events, multiple in every single county, where we meet people where they're at, right? I know by the way, you have a fantastic staff. If you don't know that, we partner super well together, and part of that reason, Councilmember Schaefer, that you're able to say, thank you, SACOG, for those projects, is your staff is amazing at writing grant applications and knowing exactly how to get these things done. So we partner with you when we do these events and these outreach. And in all of that outreach that we've done around this plan and looking to the future of this region, what are the challenges? What are the opportunities? Why are people hopeful? Why are people concerned? These are the 7 themes that we basically boiled all of that outreach down to these 7 themes. And I want to highlight a couple here. Number 1, provide housing options for all incomes and life stages. So we are in a housing crisis in the region. The housing costs, construction costs have gone up. So that's one thing we really learned. And another is people want safe and convenient ways to move around, whether you're in a car, out of a car, so safe and convenient transportation options. One of our focus group respondents said, I'd love a robust, clean, and safe public transportation system. And that obviously is a key part, is trying to make our SAC-RT system work better, but also connected, as I'll say in a second, to a larger mega-regional system that includes actually enhanced Capital Corridor and some new service that's coming up here to Sacramento from the Central Valley and from the Tri-Valley, and we're hoping that rail service will be here soon to connect our community. In the surveys we did, I mentioned we've done, we actually partnered with a lot of community-based organizations to do these surveys, and I just hinted at this a second ago. 3 biggest challenges as we get out and talk to folks Number one, affordable housing, and basically the lack of affordable housing, concerns about can my kids and grandkids afford to live here and remain here. Public safety and crime is number two, and lack of transportation options, number three. Okay, so what have we learned? This plan is a very detailed plan. Again, transportation investments, land use. We build it, by the way, all starting from your general plans. So this starts from the ground up with all your general plans. And we do a demographic forecast. So the thing you should know, and maybe you feel this if you're on Interstate 80 or Greenback or anywhere else, we are a fast-growing region. As of 2020, the census, we were the fastest growing metropolitan region in the state of California. And since COVID, we've had a lot of people migrate into our region from the coasts. The green line up there is the 6-county Sacramento region growth rates. So we are higher than the red line is the US average and the blue line is the California average. So as you can see, we're growing faster than either the state or the nation. What is also true is that those growth rates are actually going to start to slow down. So that is just simple demographics. But we are at a housing deficit in the Great Recession. We fell way behind on building enough housing in general and housing for all life stages. So we're still, in many ways, trying to climb out of that hole and that housing deficit, which is a little bit of that pinch that everybody feels in the housing market. So what does this growth look like in terms of total numbers? So our whole region now, the 6-county map I showed you earlier, the population of our region is about 2.5, actually a little bit north of that now, about 2.6 million. And we expect another 600,000 people in the region in the next 25 years. That, by the way, would put us to about 3.1 million people. That is roughly the population of the metropolitan Denver region today, which is why we took our board and Councilmember Schaefer back to Denver last summer to look at the decisions that the Denver region made 20 years ago when they looked a lot like us that actually helped them benefit today. Some remarkable foresight and decisions. So 600,000 more people, 260,000 more jobs, fingers crossed, we need the jobs, and then that translates into 278,000 housing units. In Citrus Heights, at the city level, our projection is another 4,300 people in the next 25 years, 3,500 jobs, and 2,600 housing units. We've been pretty good on our population forecasts. We went back to the archives, looked at our 2002 long-range plan in 2002 for 2025, which seemed way out in the future with flying cars, and we said we'd have about 2.7 million people here in this region, so we're about 100,000 short. So we did not predict the Great Recession, but nobody did. All right, so the growth footprint. Let's talk a little bit about this. And I talk to your staff and your city manager, and I often say, I think Citrus Heights is really, you're the geographic center of the region, and in many ways, you're a bellwether. So the success of Citrus Heights, the vibrancy of Citrus Heights, your ability, you're basically hemmed in, right, to be able to provide opportunities, housing opportunities, jobs, and everything else, it's critical. And so in the dark blue in this map, what you basically see is the urbanized footprint of the 6-county region. So this isn't just it largely follows incorporated city lines, but obviously not in unincorporated Sacramento County. So blue is kind of the developed footprint with a lot of redevelopment and revitalization opportunity. And the light blue is our new growth areas that are in our plan. And roughly the balance is, of all that growth we're seeing, 600,000 people, about 2/3 in the dark blue and about 1/3 in the light blue. So about 2/3 in revitalizing existing areas and about 1/3 in new growth areas. Okay, so I want to, in this theme of kind of partnership, one of the things that we have asked all of your staff and every city and county in the region is, what are the things that you're doing locally that can actually show up in the plan? This is not a plan that is a one-size-fits-all or sits, above all. This is a plan for all of us and every single jurisdiction. So we asked Casey on your staff, Casey Kempenaar, just to tell you a few things here that are your local things you're working on that fit into this regional vision.
Thanks, James. I'm going to just highlight a few things and stole my thunder between you and Councilmember Schaefer, but I'll cover some of the key points. As both of you alluded to, our work that we do in the city could not be done without SACOG when it comes to our transportation network. We have a variety of projects like Auburn Boulevard, San Juan Complete Streets. Those projects would not be possible without SACOG's leadership, funding, and support as we pull in money. So cannot say enough about that partnership. SACOG's focus on growth within our existing communities really aligns with what we have. I mean, we have nowhere to grow, so we have to focus on growing where we can within our commercial corridors, which is really where SACOG's focus on their green zones and some of their advocacy to try to bring more funding in for green zones to do the type of redevelopment that's necessary to accommodate all the growth. From a transportation perspective, we've had such great luck partnering with SACOG on Auburn Boulevard Complete Streets. It's been 20 years. We're coming down the tail end. It's really changed how the community feels as you come up and down that boulevard. It's really changing what was once called the ugliest street in America by a former staff member is now a very beautiful corridor that we can all be proud of. Same with San Juan Complete Streets. We're cleaning it up. We're fixing the pavement. We're making it safer to walk and bike, all things that the community is desiring. And similarly with our trail planning, on this picture here, the Arcade Cripple Creek Trail is something we're also proud of, the community's proud of. It really has become an amenity, and that would not have been possible without SACOG. That doubles down with SACOG's regional trail planning efforts. So they have a regional trail plan that shows connecting all the way to Lake Tahoe someday, and more locally shows us connecting to Roseville and Folsom Lake, which are huge amenities. It brings people from Citrus Heights to neighboring communities and vice versa to come work and shop and play here. So that's really important. I think it really changes the quality of life for the community for the better, and we'll continue to keep pushing and expanding our trail network along with SACOG. The Gateway Activation Plan is one that we're working on now, as well as extending Arcade Cripple Creek further. The Gateway Activation Plan is specifically focused on connecting to Roseville's trail network and ultimately a regional connection to Folsom. So I just like to echo that our leadership from SACOG and our partnership is key. We continue to grow. We continue to grow in a sustainable manner, and we cannot thank SACOG enough for the efforts in doing all this.
Thanks, Casey. And I just, too, want to say one of the things that our staff and our transportation team works on, and Councilmember Nelson, we talked a little bit about this a few weeks ago. We were actually able to, what we do is called, we swap funds with other regions in California where the clock is ticking on them spending federal funds. If they don't spend them, they go back to Washington. We want to keep them here in California. So what we're able to do is swap. When we have projects, in this case, Cripple Creek Trail was one of those projects, we're able to get another region's money in California, spend it quicker, accelerate a project, and give them the same money for later years. So it's another example of how we're able, and again, your team and your staff was ready, right? So you had the project all queued up and ready to go, so we got you earlier money, so your residents get to enjoy this trail quicker, sooner. That's a result of the partnership and frankly, the staff that we have that works on those kinds of things. So talk a little bit about transportation. Casey obviously ran through a lot of those projects, and I will say again, I think you have a staff that understands how to write grant applications, and that's fantastic. And we know that a lot of what you're trying to do is move traffic, but move people and do it safely, right? And have these kinds of corridors that are both feel safe, no matter how you're getting around, but also can help spark some of your economic revitalization. But as Councilmember Schaefer also said, the reality is that we actually are in a pinch for transportation funding. So if you add up all the requests for transportation projects in our last year that we've had from every city and county, far exceeds the available revenues that we have, right? So we have to be smarter. We have to think about ways in which we can use technology, and do lower cost and quicker build projects so that things don't take as long and don't cost as much. But that's a lot of what we do, as Councilmember Schaefer knows, at the SACOG level, is we prioritize, we strategize, and then frankly, we get out there and try to win some of those state and federal grants because we don't have enough money here locally to do everything we want to do. Here's the timeline for this big plan, the blueprint plan, again, looking out to 2050. It'll be released for public comment in May. We'll have a draft of the plan and an EIR for public review. That'll be out until the fall, till September. That'll come back to our board, and then we'll be adopting the plan in November of this calendar year. And I just want to say, as an agency that does many things, but largely we do this big plan, right? So we're planners, we plan, we don't want to just plan, right? Nobody wants to have a plan that sits on the shelf, or in this case, a website. We want to actually implement the plan. And so a lot of what we are trying to do is focus on, okay, we have this great aspirational plan to accommodate more housing and opportunities and transportation. Now, how do we make it real? Casey mentioned the trails plan. That's eventually, if we can build an interconnected trail network, paved trails, bicycling and walking. Cripple Creek Trail would be the center of a regional network of trails to connect your residents of all ages and abilities. That would be a 1,000-mile trail network if we can get that built. But we have the vision now, and we're getting a lot of interest and attention from a lot of our state and federal funding partners. On the top left, our Green Means Go program, also Casey mentioned. That is for infill and revitalization of corridors. And I want to give a big shout out to you all. You won, again, a competitive grant from us on the Sunrise Mall revitalization, re-envisioning. Not only that, you won one of very few state-level grants for Green Means Go to also help Sunrise Mall. So you have SACOG and the state investing in that reimagining of Sunrise, which is just fantastic. And I think I mentioned this on the bottom left there, and Councilmember Schaefer is part of our mega region working group. So we have a partnership not just across the 6 counties, but the Bay Area, San Joaquin County, and we're working on projects, including I-80, but also Capital Corridor up to Roseville, that will give us more Amtrak service, and then hopefully bringing the ACE trains from the Tri-Valley and San Jose and the San Joaquin trains up to Elk Grove, Midtown Sacramento, North Sacramento, the airport, and eventually up to Marysville and Chico. So that's the mega region work as we think about the 16 Northern California counties that represent over 11 million people in population. By the way, I'm excited about the A's coming to town, right? And when the MLB commissioner left the meeting, right, because maybe we'll get the A's for 3 years, maybe we'll get them longer, but the quote was, the commissioner said, I just thought this was a city of Sacramento thing. I realize now this is a mega region, and this mega region deserves a team. So let's keep our fingers crossed and think like a mega region. We've got funding coming up, and we have a state funding round for transportation that is, we have a call for projects in a couple of weeks that we'll be partnering with STA on for that. We also have a federal funding round next year. And then finally, just want to close on this. There's a lot of questions about, with the federal administration, what's happening to grants and funding, and will funding keep flowing? And what I would say to you is there's never been a more important time for our 6 counties to hang together as a team. So if you're going back to cap, or you can visit your members of Congress and remind them at how much this region is growing, our region, and how much we need investment, there's nothing like being a team. And look at that, you all look good in purple, it turns out. All right, so that's my presentation. Again, really appreciate the partnership with your staff. I feel like we have an amazing region to work in with a lot of great people around that table, as Councilmember Schaefer was saying, so I'm happy to answer any questions. Just stunned you into silence. All right.
I have a question. First of all, I wrote down here staff. I do appreciate you complimenting our staff, because we're very proud of our staff. And we know that a lot of our money that you gave us came because our staff is so good at putting together those requests.
Absolutely.
And I also wanted to thank you for the emphasis on trails, because I think that's going to make our region it. You go across country, you don't find that. So here was my question. The other night, we have Ethan Conrad wants to, amend our Sunrise Tomorrow plan. And at one of the meetings that he was at, the question by one of the residents was, if we institute his plan, what is SACOG's response to that? Can you answer that, or do you want to wait until we have a public, he comes?
Well, I'm not going to answer it on the spot, right? But I think the way I would answer it is, there's a lot of malls, and we saw one in Denver, right? We saw the mall in Denver, which is the old Lakewood Mall, which has been completely re-envisioned and redeveloped into a brand-new town center, and it's amazing. I think we have obviously investment in this plan. The state of California has investment in this plan to reimagine your mall as something, and you have too, right? You put a lot of time and effort into this. So I would just say, we are here as a partner, ready to do everything we can, as we often do, to help you realize that vision, because we think it's critical. There are going to be more fading and dying malls around the region. There are more around the country, and it's just critical. This is a model project, frankly, for California. So I would just say we have high hopes, and we stand here ready to partner with you.
Great. You got an applause.
That's the first time that's ever happened.
Okay. Is this the same blueprint that I went to in Folsom years ago, and we all pushed buttons for preferences?
Yeah. So it goes, and I went to that one too. It goes back a long time. We kind of named our plan the blueprint. Sometimes it can cause some confusion this year, but we started out, and you may remember this. So the genesis of this, it's a different plan that came about, but the genesis of this was a voluntary bottom-up. Our region is not growing in a thoughtful way, right? The phrase we always say, it's not if we grow, it's how, right? It's not if we grow, it's how. And so that blueprint 20 years ago, nobody forced us to do that. That was a voluntary agreement, which is frankly also why all the cities got together around the SACOG table, so they can actually implement the blueprint all together. But I think it's that spirit of not being forced or mandated, but wanting to actually think about our future that we're trying to carry through with the name here.
But is this, 2 years ago, there was something at...
Oh, the Folsom Workshop.
Folsom,
Yes, that's this.
Okay, so I was
So
at that workshop.
you're seeing the fruits of all that labor.
Okay, all right, same one. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. And I want to thank Councilmember Schaefer for his kind words, too. Next item, please.
The next item is public comment, and if you wish to address the council during the meeting, please fill out a speaker sheet and give it to myself, the city clerk. When you're called upon to speak, step forward to the podium and state your name for the record. Speakers are limited to 5 minutes each, and the mayor has the discretion to adjust the allotted time. There is a countdown display that will flash red at the end of the allotted time. Consistent with the Brown Act, the council is prohibited from engaging in a discussion or taking action on any item not appearing on the agenda.
Okay, well, you have 2 speaker sheets for general comments and 1 for item 12. So I'll save the item 12, David, for item 12, but you're up for your regular public comment first.
And Mayor, I have received a couple more, and I'll bring them up to you, and I also have a couple to read, 1 for regular public comment and 1 for item 12.
Okay, so let's start with Mr. Sheldon. Mr. Sheldon, you're up. Oh, item 11.
Mayor, City Council members, my name is David B. Shelton. I have a dream. I want the world to be a better place as I know it. That is, as I know it, because I was here. This can be as simple as picking up discarded materials that others have left to make a difference in the city of Citrus Heights. I'm a proud member since 2002 of Citrus Heights. I live in Pona number 5 area and have been treasurer and REACH representative in the past. I wrote the city money should be pooled and have a citywide use of total amounts rather than a small amount given to the 11 neighborhood areas. One year, we actually used our money to paint a wall on Madison Avenue on the residential side at the corner where the county recently upgraded the road. We just talked about that. If you haven't driven on it, do so. This road makeover will be extended to Greenback Lane. This road will be extended to Greenback Lane, so it's going to be all that way, all the way to Greenback. The current issue, our police chief, after one of my presentations, told me we are bringing back problem-oriented policing officers. We are bringing back, as I call it, POP, problem-oriented police officers. I agreed with him. He was the Pona 5 POP officer in the 2010 timeframe when I retired here in 2006. So I have more time to devote to this city that I love and to volunteer positions. This was the time of Sue Frost being on the council, and the city was devoted to getting grants. You just heard that. The city was devoted to getting grants, and we were very, very good at it. Since Sacramento was to keep our tax money for 20 to 25 years. At the PONA 5 meeting, there were 2 Citrus Heights lieutenant commanders the night of February 20th, just 6 days ago, who presented the new image officer plan. It seems the police department only has 2 people, 1 female and 1 male, interested in POP. So rather than assign them to develop POP, they are just 2 image officers. This left me in shock. The program explained by the 2 command officers was far from POP. There was no presence of POP officers, since I was told everyone wants to be a detective. If this is true, they should apply for the San Francisco or Oakland Police Department. I don't want the level of crime in those 2 cities here in Citrus Heights. Again, I repeat, I do not want that level of crime in Oakland and San Francisco here in Citrus Heights. The POP officer program has 2 questionable solutions to me. First, click it and fix it, or a memo to the City of Citrus Heights website. There is no one driving our neighborhood seeing firsthand the conditions. Citrus Heights is becoming an adult community where 4 or 5 people join together to pitch in $400 a month to have $1,600 to $2,000 to buy a private family residence and have it as a co-op residence. With automobile and truck parking issues, with the price of houses, there is no other alternative for them. I appeal to the Chief of Police to assign the 2 POP officers now who are of several image officers to set up with command level positions, POP as it was and as the chief told me it would be. I will end on a promise not kept. Use the code enforcement structure with separate POP officer vehicles. We have code enforcement vehicles where the side of the cars say code enforcement. Think if we had POP officers with vehicles on the side says POP officer, that will be dynamic results coming forward. Thank you for letting me participate in public comment.
Thank you, David. Taking these in the order I received them, so the next person is Natisha. And I'm glad you're speaking on this subject. What's your last name?
Gilra.
Gidera.
Yes. So dear Mayor, Vice Mayor, and council members and staff, thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. My name is Natisha Gilra, and I'm here to express my strong support for Yoga Fest and to encourage the city to continue backing this wonderful event. Yoga Fest is more than just a gathering. It's a celebration of health, wellness, and community. In a time when many of us are seeking ways to improve our physical and mental well-being, this event provides a unique opportunity for residents to come together, learn new skills, and connect with one another in a positive and uplifting environment. The benefits of yoga are well documented, from reducing stress and anxiety to improving physical fitness and flexibility. By supporting Yoga Fest, the city is not only promoting a healthier lifestyle, but also fostering a sense of unity, belongingness among residents. Additionally, events like this put Citrus Heights on the map as a community that values wellness, inclusivity, and cultural enrichment. I have personally attended Yoga Fest in the past that happened in Rancho Cordova, and I can attest to the positive impact it has had on me and others. The sense of peace and community I experienced was truly inspiring, and I know many others feel the same way. I urge the council to continue supporting Yoga Fest and to consider ways to expand its reach and impact. This event aligns perfectly with the city's goal of enhancing quality of life, building a stronger community, and more connected community. Again, thank you so much for your time and dedication and making Citrus Heights a great place to live in. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I just want to note that that issue is on our consent calendar. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Our next speaker, I kind of read. Ms. Thompson? Tanya? Toya?
Tall, but I'm short.
Talia.
Talia Thompson.
Talia, thank you.
Thank you so much for allowing me to speak. I wanted to present on behalf of the Sunrise Mall. We have been looking forward to the development of this mall, and we saw, well, I got an email from Ethan Conrad regarding us being flexible and allowing him to build a Home Depot and In-N-Out. And I just don't think that that's acceptable. I think that we need really robust neighborhoods with fine dining and housing, and I'm from Denver. And so I know what it is to have a city that's been revitalized. And if we build it, they will come, right? So I just ask you to hold the line, hold him accountable, and let's get it done. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Before I'm 70.
Thank you very much. Our next speaker is Mike Patton.
Council members, thank you for letting me speak tonight. I wasn't planning on speaking, but when I heard, is it SACOG? Is that what you're called?
Yep.
That's amazing, that's remarkable. Same thing, I don't think we need to turn the mall into something that we can really use and make vibrant. I grew up in the Bay Area, and so when I was growing up, there was no traffic at all, 5 or 6 o'clock. When we moved up here 20 years ago, Greenback was fine, 5, 6 o'clock. You go on there now, it's bad. If you go to the Bay Area at any time now, 1, 2, whatever, it is nightmare. So we don't want this area to turn into that. And so whatever we can do to work with them and the city to make it robust for us, that's going to be a good thing to do, I think. And I'm also, I don't think we need any more like Home Depots and fast food joints. So, yeah, but hold the line, keep them to the contract, and make the city great. It's a great place. I came from the Bay Area and I love it here, so I want to keep it that way. So thank you, and thanks for everything you do.
Thank you. Okay, all the rest of the speakers I have are for special items, unless somebody doesn't want to wait for those items and who's already handed one in and wants to jump up now. Otherwise, we'll wait for item 11 as our next speaker.
And Mayor, I just had one.
Oh, that's right, you had somebody
I have
read.
one to read for public comment. So this was received from Alfred Sanchez. He states, December of last year, a young man who had just turned 18 years old was struck by a DUI driver. He died way too young. I did a little research and I was horrified to learn these averages. 0.40 Americans die from DUI crashes daily. Over 700 are injured. 30,000 Americans are cited for DUI every day, and it's estimated 300,000 drive under the influence every day. I've encouraged a few people to gather outside tonight to raise awareness of the dangers and consequences of driving under the influence. And that concludes the written comment.
Thank you. And thank you, Alfred. So our next item, we move on.
Next item is comments by council members and regional board updates.
I will start with Councilmember Middleton.
This will be short and sweet. My meeting is not until tomorrow for the Sac Metro Air District, so
Oh, cool,
we'll see what happens.
cool. Have they met this year yet?
Yes,
Okay, so we're on the,
we're on track.
okay, good. Council Vice Mayor Lopez Taft.
Thank you, Mayor. It seems that everything that I attend happens in the second half of the month. So I had a very good meeting with the Sunrise Marketplace on the 13th. And then we attended a very nice event introducing Dark Heart Brewery to a few of us. And I will say this, it's pretty amazing to have a place that sells alcoholic seltzers. So if you don't know what I'm talking about and you want to find out, please patronize this amazing new business in our community. And that's it.
Councilmember Nelson.
Thank you, Mayor. My list is a little longer, but I will try to cruise through it. The day after our last council meeting, I had my first Sacramento Transportation Authority meeting, and it was livelier than expected from what I had heard about the meeting. There were a few changes on the board, and then there were talks about possibly a tax measure moving forward. So I will keep you up to date on that as I hear more. And I also attended the Dark Heart Brewery reception, which was great to see another business opening up in our city. The next day, I had another meeting for my Cap to Cap committee, the Capital to Capital trip, where we get to go to Washington, D.C., and lobby our Congress people on issues that affect our community. So
Which team are you on?
I am on food and ag.
Oh.
Yeah, so that's very exciting. Some of the other committee members are restaurateurs in our area and other business owners. And then on the 19th, I got to walk part of a private property that runs along Cripple Creek in Sorensen Ranch in Area 3 as a part of District 1. It was good to see. It's a unique property, and the city manager was with us, a whole crew from the city, the general services director, and the community development director, as well as some of their staff, so that we could learn about what these property owners intend to do with the property. Then I was fortunate enough on the 22nd to attend a dinner for Mozak, the museum that you see off the freeway when you're heading toward downtown. It's a science museum. They had a benefit dinner, and our county supervisor, Rosario Rodriguez, invited me to join her for that dinner. So that was really special to see. If you haven't visited yet, I highly recommend it. It's a great place for kids especially. And then this morning, I had the privilege of meeting with our chief of police to learn more about all the things that our PD does. I got to tour the headquarters there and see their technologies that they're using in dispatch. A pretty incredible place. And that's it. Thank you.
That's it. Thank you. You've been busy. You've been busy. Councilmember Schaefer.
My apologies. I didn't mean to step on my mic was open. She was asking me a question. So anyhow, yes, been very busy couple of weeks. The first thing I did, visited the RV to Cantina. It's sort of grand reopening. They opened during COVID, and it was really kind of a lackluster grand opening. And so I was there for the re-grand opening. And then I also visited the very same day, I visited the Dark Heart Brewery. Really, really cool vibe there. I like their plans for expansion. They have it's currently not open, but they will have a back patio that is just, I think it's really going to be a great business over there. Then the next day, I also sit on, and James mentioned this, I also represent Sacramento Regional Transit on the Capital Corridor Board. That's why it kind of dovetails into being on the Mega Region Working Group. And so, in this particular case, it was our first meeting of this year. We talked about some of the service issues and some of the safety issues that were around the Capital Corridor train. I'm excited. I've used it. If you haven't used taken the train out of Roseville, I've taken it down to SFO. I've taken it to Oakland. I've taken it to San Jose. I would love to take the public transit to the Sac Metro or to the airport, but not yet. And then the very next day, we had a SACOG meeting, then last night I attended the Area 6 meeting where Brian Holloway presented the plan. I behaved myself, I think, there. But it was interesting to hear the residents' feedback on how they feel about the plan. So I also want to point out that the Arcade Creek Preserve, that was about 5 or 6 years ago that we all pitched in and built part of that.
Oh,
I was-
the one in Area 10?
The one in Area 10.
Well, that was a while back, because
It was a long time ago, but it's a beautiful walk through
it's 15 years.
no, it hasn't been that long.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Was our neighborhood.
I love the picture that
Check.
Casey put up. Where are you, Casey? You put up there, love that picture, because that really gives you a really cool sense of, you have nature right here in a very densely populated area. So, so with that, I look forward to checking out the Yoga Fest. That sounds really interesting to me. So with that, that's all I have, Mayor.
It was at least 15 years, because SOAR gave them a check for $8,000 towards that bird section of the park.
Okay, now you're making
I
me feel
remember
old.
that.
Thank you.
So on the 13th, I sat in the audience of the Sacramento Transportation Authority meeting. Our representative did a good job, but the rest of those people on the board spent 30 minutes to pick a vice chair. It was like kids in a sandbox. And they should be ashamed of themselves to waste time like this fighting over who would make an advocate for next year's tax. And so I kind of, me and Director Cave were just sitting there going, anyhow, I then went to the Dark Horse Open House for the special reception for us, and it was really nice. They do have a ghost there, so you can go find the ghost. The next day, I went to a ribbon cutting at the Angel Touch Memory Care Facility. I'm a fan of seniors. I always like to visit seniors. It's not housing, there's no one there yet, but it was just an open house to show what they have to offer the community. They're on Cottingham Way in Area 6. Really nice. Armenian food was incredible. Everybody was so nice. They've joined the chamber, and so it was just it was ribbon cutting, an open house. It was, Roger Nilo was there. All of the Assemblyman Hoover's representative was there. It was very nice. Everybody was there to welcome them to our community. I then went on the 18th to a mosquito meeting. Now, I know that we're not doing West Nile bugs this year, but yet this year. So if you are bothered by these winter mosquitoes, then you call the district. One of our staff will come out and check out your property to see if you have sources that can be maintained. If they need to do a treatment around your property, they will do so, but I know you complained about mosquitoes. So if it's real bad, call the district and they will come out. The West Nile mosquitoes generally come out in May for their first emergence. But now that the weather has gotten so nice, a lot of the winter mosquitoes are starting to hatch. And, thinking it's spring. I think it's spring. I think it's nice. But so the mosquitoes are coming out. And if you are over 18 and need a summer job, the mosquito district does hire just what we call seasonals. And mostly you collect traps and run around. So you do have to have a driver's license and a good record in driver license and be over 18. And they're doing interviews now. So now's the time to apply for the summer if you need jobs. Monday night, I went to the SOAR meeting, and Ethan Conrad himself came. Mostly, I think he came because I was there, but I was a really good girl. I faced my chair totally opposite him, so I didn't participate at all. I was a good girl. I did Monday with the mayor the same day and had 2 people came, so that was kind of fun. I learned a lot because I want to thank Stephanie from planning to come, because one of the gentlemen who came was inquiring about food trucks and where they can put themselves. And apparently they can put themselves where they put themselves as long as they have permits to do so, that we, and the county basically regulates them. Also learned about the county expanding ability to have vendors on sidewalks. So the old hot dog cart, that used to be out there is going to be allowed more. So I guess they kind of impede the right of way. Anyway, she was very informative, informing the resident and me at the same time of some of these rules. So the end result was, if you need to change the county rules, you come to Rosario's meeting on March 17th and tell her about it. So that was very thankful to Stephanie. Then I had a sewer briefing because I'm the chair of the sewer district. So I briefed with Mr. Christoph, the night before or the day before the meeting, and today's meeting was a whole 5 minutes. It took 5 minutes to do a consent calendar because there was some items on consent that were timely and had to be done, so we had to have a meeting. But that's all there was a consent calendar and then an adjournment. And so it was a quick meeting, and that's what I've done.
Mayor, can I make one more?
Yes, sir, make a comment.
I'm sorry, I forgot one really important thing, and I saw Daniel back there, and it made me think about this. So SVMA has we have a high school challenge. It's going to be here on April 26th at the community center. The public is invited. I am delighted to say that our local school district is leading the pack in the number of entries. We have 96 students enters. This is kind of like a really cool science fair. And we have 32 students from San Juan Unified that are enrolled. That should be a really, it's going to be a really fun event. Like I said, I think your mind will be blown as you walk through and see all the ideas that these young high school students have come up with. They're freshmen to seniors, and to see what they've come up with and innovating a tic-tac-toe game. Really simple, and they have done it's just really impressive to see. And it's everything from electronic to wood to metal to a wide range of ideas on how this goes. So anyhow, that's all I had, Mayor. So thank you.
Okay, putting this on and off. Thank you very much. Next item, please.
Next item is consent calendar, and we have item 7, update to traffic engineering on-call services. Item 8, the 2024 Madison Avenue retaining wall repairs project final acceptance and notice of completion. Item 9, the appointment to the Sacramento Groundwater Authority. And item 10, award of community projects grant to host Citrus Heights Yoga Fest.
Does anybody want to pull an item for discussion or separate vote? Well, I would like to just comment on item 10 before we take a motion. And item 10 is the approval of the request for approval of the Yoga Fest. As you heard from our speaker, it will happen here in Citrus Heights on May 10th. And so it's a Saturday, the day before Mother's Day. And it just looks to be an enormously wonderful event. If you read tonight's agenda packet, it's online. You can see all the things that the Yoga Fest will have at it. And I'm sure there's something for everybody. And so anyway, I look forward to that event. So with that, I'll entertain a motion for the consent calendar.
Move approval.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstain? 100% aye. Okay. Next item, please.
Next item is regular calendar, item number 11. The subject is youth and government programming. And good evening, Mayor and City Council members. Amy Van, City Clerk. As the council is aware, there is a desire in Citrus Heights to focus on supporting family involvement in schools and fostering positive community engagement and to build up youth through education, experience, and mentorship. And so tonight, council will receive a presentation on youth and government programming options and then have the opportunity to provide feedback and direction to staff. At the March 28th, 2024 Strategic Planning Retreat, the City Council set some strategic objectives that are shown here that are related to exploring opportunities to develop programming to engage Citrus Heights youth in local government and in partnership with the San Juan Unified School District. Over the last several months, city staff have actively engaged in discussions with district staff and Citrus Heights principals to collaborate on advancing these strategic objectives, including participating in the district's Citrus Heights Collaborative that is comprised of Citrus Heights principals that meet regularly to discuss items specific to Citrus Heights schools. And I would just like to take a moment to acknowledge and thank our partners from the district who are actually here in attendance in the meeting tonight. And before I go into my report, I just wanted to take a moment to highlight, and I'm really excited about some of the recent collaborations that I wanted to show you here tonight. So the first one is on October 9th. The City Council had the pleasure of receiving a student council report from 2 San Juan High School students. And I'd just like to note that we look forward to having 2 students from Mesa Verde at our next City Council meeting. You know, this has been a great opportunity for the students to come and get public speaking experience and speak to the council. And we look to continuing this and having the students come to future city council meetings to provide an update on happenings and projects and topics that are happening at the 2 high schools. And then on November 14th of 2024, staff was able to join families of Lycan K-8 by walking to school that morning and to support an annual day to commemorate the Ruby Bridges Walk to School Day. And so that was a great, fun event that we got to participate in. And then on December 5th of 2024, the community was treated to musical numbers performed by the Lycan K-8 choir. This also was an opportunity to bring many families from neighborhood area 1 that I had heard had not had the opportunity to come to our tree lighting before, and so I think that was a great opportunity for them to be able to have the chance to come. And then lastly, as some additional efforts in engaging youth, the city has hosted tours of City Hall that included a local school as well as a Girl Scout troop. And the youth were given the opportunity to kind of see behind the scenes of City Hall. And then also one of the groups was able to come to a city council meeting. So this leads me into my report to the City Council. In partnership with the district, staff have been able to brainstorm some preliminary opportunities for youth and government programming. And I would just like to preface it that noting that many of these brainstorming ideas are very preliminary ideas and specific programming details are yet to be finalized if they're programs that we move forward with. So the first one is a Student in Government Day, and this would be geared towards high school age students. It would have the opportunity for the students to meet, interact with city staff as well as city council members, to learn about city government, local government, how their members of the city council are elected, what programs and services are offered through the city, how the roads are taken care of, things of that nature. And then could be opportunities for the youth to participate in discussion topics, a topic that is happening in Citrus Heights, that they could do some research on and present to the city council. Maybe it's a challenge project that they come up with, and given some dollars, if you will, to determine how those funds are allocated to different beautification efforts or roads, or these are just some ideas that are brainstormed ideas, but the program could be so much. And so just kind of showcasing that here. And then as well as participating in a city council meeting, maybe shadowing a city council member, maybe having a mock city council meeting. Like I said, these are very preliminary brainstorm ideas, and I'm currently having discussions with the high schools as we speak to kind of develop and formulate a program. So second brainstormed idea is an internship or future public service program. This would be geared towards youth ages maybe 16 to 20 that could work in local government, gain some city work experience. I have seen in my research from other cities that have done similar programs, there could be opportunities for a form of a scholarship program for students that participate. And then maybe this could be something that's done during the summer to accommodate the students' schedules, and they would be able to have some additional time to intern at City Hall. So the third brainstormed idea is a youth advisory commission. In some of the research I found from other cities that have done something similar, it would be an advisory body to the city council. They would discuss topics related to the city's youth. There would be an application and appointment process similar to what is done for some of our other boards. Regular meetings could be held of the commission to discuss the topics and then provide periodic updates to the city council at a city council meeting. And in some of my research, this was done by formal action of the city council, whether that was an ordinance, and then there was some additional staffing by staff to support and facilitate the meetings of the youth commission. And then lastly, and just in looking at other ways to engage the younger grade levels, some brainstormed ideas was a middle school public debate program. This could be in the form of students having a topic that they research and study and then present their arguments for or against the topic. Maybe it's something that is coming before the city council. Maybe it's something of interest that is in their neighborhood. But it would give the opportunity for students to develop critical thinking skills, enhance their public speaking, as well as promoting the civic engagement. So I've shared a lot of great brainstorming ideas, and this is not all-inclusive, but it's some that we have come up with. And at this time, staff is recommending to begin with a Students in Government Day. And as I mentioned, staff is currently meeting with high school principals to formulate a Youth in Government Day, to finalize the details that would best fit the needs of the Citrus Heights students, families, and the city. This would be a great first step toward the council's strategic objective and our partnership with the district. And it could lead to future programming, maybe some of the ideas that have been brainstormed or other ideas. And this concludes my presentation, and I'm happy to answer any questions that the council may have, but I look forward to hearing your feedback and any other direction that you may have. And I do want to acknowledge, I believe the mayor has a couple of public comment speaker cards for this item as well.
Do you have more? I have two.
Not at my desk, just the ones that you
I have, okay. So I'm going to do the public comments first, and then, because we might want to ask questions too based on comments we hear. So I'd like to do our public comments next, and that is, our first one is Cassandra Bennett Porter. Thank you for printing so clearly.
Mayor Karpinski-Costa, council members, and staff, good evening. There's a tribe in Africa whose traditional greeting is Kasarian Ngeri. It means, and how are the children? They don't ask each other, how are you, or how's your day? They ask about the next generation. Monitoring the well-being of our children is the best way to determine the future health and prosperity of our whole society. In San Juan Unified, the care and education that children need to thrive is our most important mission, and we know that we cannot do it alone. My name is Cassandra Bennett Porter. As director for San Juan Unified, I supervise the schools in the Citrus Heights community with the goal of improving communication and collaboration amongst the schools and between city and community partners. This year, we have developed a Citrus Heights collaborative that Amy mentioned. In this collaborative, the principals work together on solving complex problems around enrollment, student achievement, and parent and community involvement. While this group includes very talented individuals, as I mentioned before, we cannot do it alone. We've made progress in improving our partnerships and civic engagement for our youth by partnering with city leaders such as Amy Van, Megan Huber, Mary Jane Taff, as well as Mayor Karpinski Costa. City leaders have attended our collaborative to share the city's strategic initiatives and enhance communication strategies. We want to engage in positive storytelling so the community knows of the good work we are doing together. City officials are participating in school events such as Principal for the Day, the Ruby Bridges Walk to School Day that Amy mentioned, and Read Across America, which is coming up next week. I hear some of you might be reading in our classrooms. The city also donated to our Education Foundation to support community involvement projects. Our schools have participated in local city events such as National Night Out, Sunday Fun Day, and City Scoop. Also, an honorable mention, Al Fox and the Citrus Heights Rotary have provided tremendous partnership as well. So as Amy shared, we are exploring creative ways to improve the student experience. Initial ideas include partnering with Parks and Rec to provide school-based sports teams, partnering with the city to increase civic engagement, so we have lots of seed ideas there, and exploring parent and community mentoring to support our youth. We are grateful for your partnership. My hope as I stand before you here today is that when someone asks, "How are the children?" we are able to respond, "The children are well. Yes, all of the children are well."
Thank you very much. Another good printer, someone that could print. Roxanne Stelmacher. Normally they scribble, and it's hard for me to read it, so thank you for nice printing.
It's what you get when we're all educators. We have to write on boards. So youth in government and civic engagement starts by modeling it. So I wanted to take an opportunity tonight to talk a little bit about how the San Juan Unified School District, and specifically my school site, Lichen, has really started modeling that so that we can get our students to walk in those footsteps. So good evening, Mayor Karpinski Costa, Vice Mayor Taff, council members, Middleton, Schaefer, and welcome, Ms. Nelson. We're excited to have you. My name is Roxanne Stelmacher, and I'm the principal at Lichen P8. I'm here to provide an update on our efforts at Lichen over the past year to strengthen our relationship with Citrus Heights and San Juan Unified School District. Our primary focus has been increasing student and parental engagement and building stronger connections with the city and community. Through these efforts, we've seen improvement in academic outcomes, student retention, and a deeper sense of community connection with our families. Last August, we kicked off that work with City Scoop Night, which brought over 450 community members together with city leaders. And in a geographically located area like District 1, where there is that separation, 450 people showing up to a city-sponsored event is deeply meaningful. This event helped foster connections and sparked further collaboration between our school site and city administration, with Economic and Community Development Director Megan Huber and City Clerk Amy Van at the forefront of this work. Over the year, we've worked closely with the city, local businesses, and community organizations on initiatives like school involvement with the revitalized Northwest Neighborhood Association, celebrating student achievement with support from Citrus Heights Reach and Antelope Lions Club, creating middle school exploration courses aligned with the San Juan and Mesa High School career pathways. I know that one of the initiatives is really looking towards retention, and so we've been really strategic about how can we ensure that our 8th graders stay in Citrus Heights and don't leave. Developing a proposal for the Citrus Heights K-8 Middle School Sports League for all youth in the area, engaging in our the National Walk for Ruby Bridges Walk to School Day alongside city leaders and the Citrus Heights Police Department. Got to give a special shout out to Ash Feeney, who also helped to participate in it and make that a special event, as well as several other members of city leadership. We also participated in our Citrus Heights tree lighting ceremony choir performance, which, if you were here, was both delightful and entertaining. I have some very theatrical students. We also hosted just recently Junior Achievements JA Takeover Day for our middle schoolers, and we will be doing it for our K through 5 students on Friday with Vice Mayor Taff. We've also partnered with local organizations such as Sunrise Recreation, Sylvan Library, Citrus Heights Pals Department, and several others to make our school events, including Back to School Night and our cultural fair, a success. By inviting those organizations onto our campus, we further establish relationships both within our city and within the larger community. These efforts represent just a glimpse of the work that is actually happening at all 12 of San Juan's schools in the Citrus Heights area. We remain deeply committed to ensuring our students receive the best education possible and that our community thrives. Thank you for your time and continued support of our shared work.
Thank you very much. Can I ask you a question before you leave? Maybe you said it, it went over my head. How are you spending your $1,000 grant?
Oh, great question, and thank you very much for the money. We are actually purchasing math games. Actually, Skycrest does something very similar. They host a family math engagement day. So each month, families are invited onto campus to do math games in the classroom. Not only does it encourage that family community connection, which I know is a focus area of yours, but it also helps to diminish the anxiety I think a lot of parents have with how can they engage with their children around math. We know from a lot of research out there, a lot of adults have math anxiety. And so it helps lower that so that they can then engage further with supporting their children with their instruction. So we are planning to model our $1,000 efforts after theirs, and we're hoping for a really good turnout, and you're invited to come play games.
Is it one event or is it many?
So each month.
Oh, each month.
Each month, we're hoping to open our classrooms.
Great, and just so you know, all our council members have adopted schools within our districts, and your adoptee is Councilmember Nelson, so.
We're excited to have her.
Feel free to contact her if you ever need, something from this council.
She was at City Scoop Night when she was getting her signatures to be able to run. And so she was out there making connections within the community before she was ever on the dais, and so we just appreciate that commitment. Thank you, Councilmember Nelson. Appreciate you.
Okay, great, thanks so much. Okay, so now we'll go to council member comments, questions, whatever you want to do. I'm going to start with Vice Mayor Taft, because she's intricately involved in the schools. And let's hear from you first.
Well, thank you so much, Mayor. I do have a particular love for our education programs and our Citrus Heights schools that I'm just so very proud of, and have had so many occasions to go meet district staff, the school staff, and I know, and let me back up. I didn't know, and I was pleasantly surprised how absolutely amazing our schools are. I have been to Lichen, Woodside, Skycrest, and Grand Oaks, and each one has their own special environment for their families and students, and those environments are tailor-made for those families to feel comfortable. And I appreciate that thoughtfulness by design, by on-site culture that I've been able to experience as an outsider who's always loved our education system. My one question for you, Amy, is in incorporating our two high schools, since we've already had San Juan and are anticipating Mesa, I was wondering, because we only have one middle school, could we invite Sylvan to also do a student report at one of our meetings?
Absolutely.
Just to give them that experience before they have to do it?
Yeah, absolutely.
That would be my only comment. I really like your suggestions.
Councilmember Middleton, are you done? Yes. Councilmember Middleton?
Just more of a comment, because of this kind of program that we've done, that Amy has taken the charge on, my son has actually worked really hard at Sylvan to implement a lunch with a teacher day. So if you have extra issues or any issues like you want to work with your homework or whatever, he got a program put together, he wrote it himself, and then he also went to the student government to say, hey, can I get some funding for this?
Oh.
So that any student who needs help or wants to just reconnect with a teacher can do that. And they actually DoorDash the food to the campus, and they sit down and they talk about it. And he was very shy, and he's not feeling well today, but I wanted him to kind of come and talk about that, because it was one of the things where he felt he saw a
Have him come
need.
at a future meeting.
I will.
Yeah.
I will. He saw that there was a need, and he wanted to make sure that students had the ability to connect with their teachers on a personal level, because these are the folks that your kids are spending 8 hours a day or more with, if they're there after school. And really proud to see that, and glad for your suggestion of saying, hey, let's involve our one middle school in the process.
And when he comes to explain his thing, we could maybe add that to our programming too, that he could have started this throughout all the other schools as well. Lunch with a teacher. It's a great idea, lunch with a teacher. Councilmember Nelson, you have a fan club already.
I appreciate that shout out. These are all incredible ideas, and I'm very excited to see them implemented. This seems how we might make local government cool. And it seems smart just from a sustainability point of view too, to provide a track for our future leaders. We have the pathway programs in our high schools, like Roxanne mentioned, and this just seems a natural fit to add into that as something that our students can do and put their energy toward. So great job.
Well, thank you, Mayor. Very impressive, Amy. Great job. And certainly, I do work with a lot of schools, and I mostly through the CTE programs. It's mostly high schools as well. But I'd like to offer a suggestion. I'd like to maybe explore this idea, and I think this would work for pretty much any of the levels of school, whether it's elementary, junior high, or high school, and that is come be a council member for a day. You know, come be a council, come and read the agenda, kind of get a handle on that, and then I'd certainly love to sit down and talk with them and see what they think about
Take your
those
seat
issues.
right there. He can sit right there.
He can sit right next to me, he or she, sit right next to me, and see how government works, and see how much government, most people don't, they get all wound up about who's president and all that. This is where it happens right here. This is where we are, we're changing the way we live every day. And we're evaluating and saying, hey, this working? Is this not working? And so I think that that this is, and I certainly, I've spoken at Mesa Verde a couple of times to the government class, and I think that I kind of felt like, hey, who here knows how local government works? And nobody really knew. They don't understand they didn't understand. They understand it now, I think. The manager, council, form of government, but I think that that lots of those kids. I even had somebody come to me at City Scoop and say, "Hey, I was in that class where you came and spoke," and so I love inspiring young people, and I just like to offer that as a suggestion. Thank you, Mayor.
Well, I mean, you outdid yourself in this plan, because just about, I know this is your, Students in Government Day is your first, but some of the stuff you had as part of your other brainstorming are also good that we can phase in as we get acquainted with our schools. I've always been a fan of Principal for a Day, and I've done it a couple of years in a row, and I do it at Arlington Heights, and I'm always amazed at that principal and how versatile he is with his students, and just this reading, a Read Across America Day, I want to do it next Monday, so I won't be doing Monday with the mayor, but I got my trusty backup guy to do Monday with the mayor. David, you can come and visit Tim, and I'm going to go read at Grand Oaks. Grand Oaks is my assigned school. They're spending their $1,000 on an art show, and it will happen the first council meeting in March, so I'll be late for that meeting because I want to run over to the art show. Vice Mayor Lopez Taft gets to bang the gavel. So I really love the fact that our council will participate with schools. And I hope they look to us for all the assistance that they want, because we're here to help. Don't be afraid of us. We're willing to go. I volunteered to go to any school that wants me to come and talk about government, just as Councilmember Schaefer does. We're retired, we don't have jobs. So it's fun to go to school. I think I see the kids just sometimes amazed at, I even thought they could have their own council meeting. They all have student councils, that they could have a student council meeting right up here. And we could be their audience, you know, so, because Well, we could. That would be fun. We could. So they have an agenda, they do their thing, and so anyway, I thought that might be a nice addition, let them have a little. So whatever the teachers come up with, what the principals come up with, we're here to do that. And I think that we can incorporate any and all of these things. And I think it's great. The kids need to know this stuff. So you got a direction from us, and do we need?
I do, so thank you. I appreciate your feedback.
Okay, so what timeline are we looking to set this up before the end of the school year?
As I mentioned, I'm having meetings with the high school principals just as recently as yesterday. So we're kind of figuring out the details and haven't specified the exact time frame, but certainly we'll provide updates to the city council to let you know what the plan is, but we are working towards that.
Fantastic, thank you. Any final thoughts or questions from you guys? Okay, thank you, Amy.
Thank you.
Next item, please.
Next item is regular calendar item number 12. The subject is recycling centers discussion item, and the recommendation is that staff seeks council direction, and based on feedback, staff will bring back zoning ordinance amendments for future consideration and adoption.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Casey Kempenaar, your Community Development Director, alongside Senior Planner Allison Bermudez from our Planning Department. I think the council all knows the city's made great strides in cleaning up blight and some of the challenges we've had over the last 3 years. You know, we have our award-winning beautification crew who's physically moving the blight out of the way. We have a POP and impact team that partner with the beautification crew to make sure that the stuff's getting cleaned up, and folks that need help are getting help, and folks are being held accountable as well. We also have launched a shopping cart ordinance to reduce the number of shopping carts that are found off their intended locations. Despite all those efforts, we continue to have some challenges with some of our existing recycling centers and the appearances they have in the neighborhood and as you come into the city. So the council last March adopted a strategic objective related to addressing that states, in response to ongoing blight and illicit behavior associated with recycling centers, assess regulatory options to address negative impacts and present options to the council. So here we are. As a team, we looked at a variety of different options for the council to consider. We were slated to bring this to you in September, so we've had time since then. It got continued till now, and we had some time to kind of sharpen our pencils and take a look at different options. And so we've readjusted what our recommendation is. We have 4 different options to go over with you tonight that we think will create a regulatory environment that is supportive of ensuring these centers are upheld to a higher standard and also serving the need that they serve. So as part of tonight, Allison's going to walk you through kind of what we observed of our 4 existing centers, what we've heard related to community feedback, related to the benefits and the concerns that come with them. We'll give you a brief overview of our existing zoning regulations, which have minimal standards related to recycling centers. We'll also give you a high-level overview of the CalRecycle regulations, which are fairly complicated, and there's a convenience zone component to them, which is probably the most critical for your consideration. And then lastly, Allison will present the summary of our recommendations. So with that, I'd like to turn over to Allison to go through those.
Thank you, Casey. Council, thanks for allowing us time to discuss this important topic. As mentioned, this was a strategic goal from last year. We've heard from you, we've heard from community members over the past few years about the blight that's been associated with recycling centers, including loitering and other similar challenges. So when we were tasked with this, we really had to learn, what were the issues, what was happening, is it real, is it perceived, what is happening at the centers. So we took the efforts and we did video surveillance of each of our existing 4 centers. We videoed them for 24 hours a day for a week period. We reviewed each of those videos to see, how many customers are coming, when are they coming, what's happening around the center associated with recycling, or what's happening on the adjacent properties. So it was very informative and really gave us, an eyes-on approach to see, what is occurring so we could address those issues through this process. So some of our observations that we saw in reviewing those for 4 centers over a week period of time. The centers were quite busy. They were much busier than we expected. Many times I drive by one on my way to work and it's not open yet. And when I come home, it's already closed. So I don't really see the activity during the day, but they were all quite busy. And some of the ones are on a pretty small site, such as the one shown in the picture here. It's pretty small. It's tucked away in a corner next to a store. And so that did cause a lot of congestion at that center. So we saw that. Certain centers had quite a bit higher number of customers arriving, not by vehicle, but by some other transportation method, whether it be walking, whether it be biking. There's even one center that had a regular visitor by bus. So they would get off their bus with their bags of recycle. So a variety of customers coming from different methods, not just vehicles. The sites were kept clean, even though they're visually unattractive. The employees did appear to do a good job. Oftentimes you saw them out there sweeping, hosing down the pavement. When you go to recycle, a lot of times people are just emptying their bottles out onto the pavement, causing a mess. So the employees did pay attention to that and did keep the sites rather clean, even though just the nature of the business, was somewhat blight. Trash bins were provided for the customers for them to use to dispose of their empty bags. They did a good job at keeping those full and making those available. And many of the customers were families. It was quite surprising, especially on the weekend visits, how families were arriving at the centers with their bags, their kids towing the bags of recycle. So that was also something that was that we saw quite often occur. But every morning there were customers waiting for the centers to open. Most of them opened 9, 10 o'clock, and they all, each day did have people waiting for them to open. We did see loitering, we did see activity, not necessarily on site where the recycle was happening, but on the periphery, on the adjacent properties. I believe the operators of the recycle centers are very good at managing what's occurring at their site, not allowing people to loiter and hang out. But what that does, it does push them kind of off to the neighboring sites. The customers know they can't loiter and hang out, so they do go close adjacent. Some of the concerns after reviewing the videos and kind of comparing all of our notes, as mentioned, the sites, they're basically visually unattractive, the nature of the business, and they do contribute to that perception of blight. There were impacts to the neighboring properties and businesses, I think mostly from the people hanging out, waiting for the centers to open and not wanting to loiter on site. Some of the centers, you could see illicit activity. We did video 24 hours a day. So a lot of the activity was not happening during the operating hours. As I said, the operators did a really good job of keeping their sites clean and not allowing loitering. But after hours when they were closed, I think a lot of it has to do with the locations of where some of them are kind of tucked away and hidden. There would be activity after hours.
What street is that with such a wide?
This is Greenback in this photo.
Wide
This is the wall along Greenback.
Okay.
And this is kind of what happens as a result of some of the restrictions that we have put on the operators, and they've been very cooperative through this process to work with us. And so you can't take recycles from shopping carts. It makes the shopping carts not be in the home they need to be to provide for the retailers. So you'll see people fill them with the recycles and push them down the street. So one effort we did is, ask the recyclers, please don't accept recycles from the carts. Well, they don't. They're all very good at that they don't do that. But what happens
Which center is this cart close to?
This is by Farmers on Greenback.
Farmers, okay.
Yeah. And so what happens is the customer will fill the cart with recycles and they'll take it as close to the recycle center as they can. Then they'll unload the cart and make sure that they walk up to the center, leaving the abandoned carts around the edges. So that's some of the consequences with the restrictions. And as I mentioned, some of those smaller sites, are quite congested. But definitely, I don't think any of us have any doubt that there aren't benefits to recycling. It is something that provides our citizens the ability to retrieve their funds. When you purchase a beverage product, you are paying extra money for that container, and you should be able to have the ability to receive those funds back, receive your deposits back. These centers do allow that to happen. And the money that you receive back then gets in turn used again in our local economy. So you pay the fee when you're purchasing the product, you take your product back, you get your deposit back, and then you are reinvesting those funds that you receive back into our local economy. That's one of the big benefits of the recycle. Obviously, you're all very familiar with the environmental benefits, keeping items out of the landfill and returning them back to be made into other products. It is providing business owners opportunity to operate a business. Each of our owners, are small business operators, and they do own their business. They hire the employees, they manage the employees, and so it is a business opportunity. Each center does provide jobs. It is not a sole provider service. They do have employees. It is a family activity, as mentioned. We saw that was quite evident. And then it really is supporting retailers and their obligation to accept these recycles back. So the retailer does sell the product to you in the container. They are obligated to find a way for you to be able to not only get your money back, but get those cans or bottles or containers back out of the landfill and back in for reuse. So some of our current regulations, we do regulate what we call small recycling centers, which is what we're referring to, and these are the centers that are taking recycles that have CRV redemption values. Our current zoning, we've regulated them in our zoning code. We do allow them in our commercial zones. We allow them to use up to 600 square feet of space. We require them to be 50 feet from a residence, 10 feet setback from the roadway. What we don't do is we don't limit the number of recycling centers. So finding an appropriate location, someone could apply we don't have a limit on the number or where they could be. So we could have multiple locations. They could be at one center, they could be across the street at another center. We don't have a separation distance. We do that in some types of our land uses, but in recycling centers, we don't. And we currently don't have a requirement for them to be located in a convenience zone. Casey talked about these briefly in the beginning. So let's talk about what a convenience zone is. A convenience zone is established by CalRecycle, and it's basically a 1 mile radius from the generator of the cans or the bottles or the beverage container. So if you take a qualified retailer, which is one basically has $2 million a year in sales, and they sell products, not only beverages, but they sell other goods, other groceries, things like that, and they generate $2 million or more, they're considered a dealer or a qualified retailer, I'm going to call them. And so CalRecycle then puts a convenience zone around that store. So they take a 1 mile radius from that location, and within that radius, then there should be a recycle center available so their customers can return the recycled products. And that is an obligation that retailers are supposed to be able to provide. So we do have 12 qualified retailers in the city. So you think of stores like Raley's, Sprouts, Smart & Final, a couple Walmarts, Costco. Those are all generators that meet the requirement to be in a convenience zone. So we do have 12 convenience zones. So we have 4 current retailers that are serving the city, and each of those recycle centers, are in a convenience zone. So 4 convenience zones are served by the existing 4 centers that we have. And then recently, if you've heard about one of the Senate bills that went into effect this year, does require the retailers, these qualified retailers, that if there is not a recycling center within their convenience zone to accept the recycles back for their customers, then that retailer is obligated to accept the recycles in their store. So what that means is, let's say Costco or Walmart and Stock Ranch, there's no recycle center within that mile radius of those stores. So that means if I purchase or I have goods to return, I can walk into either of those stores with my bag of recycles and say, here you go, I need my money back. And they are obligated to take that back and give you your money. They don't like doing that, I'm sure, but they are obligated. What happened this year is, up to this change in this law, is those stores could buy out. CalRecycle could say, you don't have a recycling center near you, but you don't want to accept them back, then yes, you could pay Cal Recycle a certain amount of money per day to buy yourself out of having that obligation. Well, recent legislation then has changed that, so there's no longer that buyout option. They have to do it. So here's a map showing the recycle zones in the city. You can see the outline of the city. The black zones are ones that are served by the existing recycle centers that are shown by the red stars. The green ones, kind of in the heart of the city, are underserved zones. So there's no recycle center fulfilling that need for those retailers in that zone. And then on the south end of the city, you can see there's rings that come into our city that are from retailers that are generated outside of the city, but they're within that mile radius. So you have Trader Joe's or a store like that that's just outside of our boundary. Their zone would cross into Citrus Heights. What Cal Recycle does allow is that if you locate a recycle center that's in a ring or in a zone and it's serving an area that's crossed by multiple zones, and that center, then that all those zones are considered served. So if you look, let's take for example, just because it's easier to see on the map, but around Stock Ranch, you have 4 different rings that are there generated by the different retailers. In a great case world, if you could put one center where all those rings intersect, then we'd have one center serving 4 different zones. And then the other underserved zone area along Sunrise in the Woodmore Oaks area by Foodmax. Oh, yeah, and then the 2 blue rings at the bottom are not established by Cal Recycle yet, but we would anticipate when they update their sales sometime this year, in the next, year, 18 months. There's an Amazon Fresh store down there now, and then a Future Grocery Outlet store that we would assume also be a qualified retailer. So there could be 2 new zones on the south end. So some considerations on the topic of recycling, a small recycling center. The city, we do provide we have 4 recycle centers. So we, in looking county-wide or jurisdictionally wide, we are providing more recycle centers than any of our jurisdictional neighbors, besides the city of Sacramento and the county of Sacramento. So if you look at our population and you divide it by the 4 centers, we have 1 center for about every 21,000 residents, which is way more than provided by other jurisdictions. Roseville has a lot more recycle centers, but their population's a lot more, so they have a lot less population that's served. So we are providing a fair share of recycle centers for our community. There are blight-related issues with the topic of recycling. Some perception, as we talked about, some was real, but they are hard to regulate. We regulate the recycling centers, but then you're still going to have the abandoned shopping carts in the neighbor of the centers and that stuff that comes along with the centers. There is a lot of new emerging technology. This is kind of the exciting part. A lot of technology coming down the pikes that's been tested in various methods in different areas throughout the state. Close by to us, if you haven't visited, over in Carmichael, recently opened was an indoor recycling center. It is owned and operated by the same operator that we have that does the one by Rayleigh's. They worked with Cal Recycle, received some major grant funding, worked with the manufacturer of the equipment that's inside, but it's a completely indoor center. So you walk into basically the rent-a-tenant space. It's outfitted with the recycle belts and things inside, but you walk in, it looks like a store. Everything is happening behind walls, and you go up to this machine basically, and you set your bag on there, it weighs it, takes your cans, and it goes behind the wall and does its processing. You go over to the cashier's stand, they give you a receipt for your weight, and you go to the ATM machine and you leave with your money. It all happens indoor, very quiet. It was quite busy. We went and visited the store. But again, it still has its issues too. There's people waiting, for it to open. There's people coming down the street, pushing the shopping carts to get there. So just that nature of that business, whether it's inside or outside, I think that's going to occur. There is other grants and technologies advancing for, pick up at your home. There some single containers. If you remember, years ago, they had the bubble, the white-looking bubble that would sit around in parking lots, so you could just go up there and put your containers in, get a receipt, then you'd go into the store to get your money. That type of thing is advancing, kind of coming back, looking for ways to improve the recycling business. But again, there's still concerns, and they're not going to solve all the issues. So taking all that information, kind of digesting it, looking at, what could we do to help? There's a number of options. On the screen are 4 different options that we kind of looked at that could be possibilities. We could walk through these, and again, these are not set in stone. These are just kind of some of the top ideas. And at your pleasure, we can put some of these together, do nothing, pick one of these, or we're here to discuss and hear your feedback, and then we can take back and fine tune it and come back to you later. But some of our recommended options is currently right now what's to have a recycling center, you have to file for a land use permit through planning, which we call a minor use permit. So it is an application process through the planning division. We review the location, making sure it's meeting those minimum standards that we have up there about placement. And we go through that process called the minor use permit. We could alter that process and kick it up to what we call a full use permit, which means it's, instead of being a staff level reviewed use permit, we could require a full use permit that requires basically the same type of review, the same type of analysis, but it would come before the Planning Commission for review and approval. It does get a little bit more in-depth review for conditions, with a little bit broader public outreach, a little bit more transparent for that to happen. So that is one option, is just to change the processing time. The flip side of that obviously comes with a little bit higher cost. Right now, a minor use permit to start that application with us is a deposit that we accept to process the application, and the applicant pays for our staff time and materials to work the application. That's initiated with that $5,000 deposit. And a use permit, because of the hearing requirement and larger public noticing requirement, it is more costly, and so that would be started with a $10,000 deposit. Another option would be to require to allow new recycling centers, but they have to be in a recycle zone or a convenience zone. So if you remember that map I showed, that could, if you were interested in opening up a new recycling center here, you would have to be in a convenience zone. Not only is that an area that's deemed to need a recycle zone because of the generation of the sales of those goods within that 1 mile radius, but it also would then probably limit the number of new recycle centers that we have, because they would be very specific geographic locations where they could be located. That would really be a benefit to our retailers in the city that are meeting that threshold, and would eliminate their need from having to accept the cans through their store. And then on the flip side of that, it would probably reduce the number of new centers we had, whether it's a benefit, or a consideration. As we mentioned, you could have one new location that really could serve 4 zones. So that would be another benefit. We could take the step, as we saw in Carmichael, and require any new center to be indoors. Allow them to be in a shopping center, allow them to be in a location anywhere, but they would have to be inside. It would reduce the visual impact that we have on the appearance to the community and the blight. It would fill vacant spaces. But it does come with a pretty high cost. The one in Carmichael, without the large contributions from Cal Recycle, that wouldn't have happened. And I know that took the operator quite a long time to assemble all that funding, but it is a nice option. And hopefully, as those become more standard, that would be something that would be more viable to start. And then right now we have the 4 existing centers. Some of them are applying for and receiving grants from Cal Recycle to improve their sites. We're very common to see the shipping, just the brown shipping container that they use to collect their goods. Cal Recycle is providing grants to upgrade those containers. They're a little bit larger. They do look nicer. They have some amenities to them, but it would require possibly a larger area than our allowed 600 square feet. So we if that's an option too, we want to allow them to do that. We would have to do some amendments to the code so that they could expand to accommodate the new technologies. And then, as mentioned, we had previously, last year, we looked at just restricting to 4. We've demonstrated that we have 4 centers in the city. We provide more to our community than any of the other jurisdictions around us. Maybe 4 is all we need, and that's where we want to stay. So that's one thing too. Present that to the Planning Commission. They did not eventually approve that. They felt uncomfortable at restricting it to 4 because a lot of it had to do with wouldn't allow the existing centers then to grow and improve. We could, as I mentioned, there's also technologies coming about these unmanned operations. That's something we could look at further and see what technology comes down with that. That may help some, but then again, we don't know what's the consequences of that. If you have an unmanned collection booth where people walk up, what are they going to do with their bags when their bag is empty? Are they going to throw it on the ground? Is there going to be kind of unintended consequences from those too? So we just don't know about that yet. And then we could just stay status quo, not make any changes at this time. I must say that I have met with our current operators. They've been very willing to adjust their procedures and how they accept, to accommodate us and address our concerns. It was unfortunate that tonight's meeting, 2 of them are out of the country and unable to attend, but I have spoken to them and directed them this is recorded, so following that, when they get back in the country, they can watch this meeting, and I'm sure that we'll receive some follow-up letters from them. And then also, you did receive some communications throughout the past couple days that were presented to you from different groups sharing their concerns on the topic. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions and receive your feedback.
Okay, we're going to hold off on questions and feedback till we hear the public comments, because some of our questions might have to do with some of the issues raised. So our first speaker is, I have several, so if you have 5 minutes, but if you did less time, boy, we'd be so thrilled. So our first speaker is Mr. Shelton.
Again, I congratulate the city on what they've done. We're a leader, and we will always be leaders. And I'm encouraged by this report. I used to take my recycling over to where the train station ends on Watt, and then I decided to try the local one on Greenback by the fire station, one of the 4 selected ones. And when I went there, it was a trashy place, and I says, why don't you clean it up? And you guys were working on the same thing. So now there are no carts there. It's a wonderful place. So that's just what I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Shelton. Our next speaker is Diana, did I see this? Wait a second. Diana Anderle.
As they said, my name is Diana Anderle. I am a professional planner. I'm a member of the American Institute of Certified Planners. I have a master's degree in planning from USC, and I'm a retired.
Can you get closer to the mic so we can hear you?
Sorry. Yes, I'm a retired planning director. And I ended up doing a lot of work consulting, and somehow a lot of the recyclers throughout the Southern California and Northern California have gotten in touch with me. I don't represent anyone particularly, but I just see the problems that are associated all over the state. And the most recent issues that you face is that the Cal Recycle has now adopted SB 1013. My gosh, they certainly didn't do a lot of good work letting the city know, or anyone know, that should have known in neighborhoods and stuff, what the law is going to be now. And your staff talked about what is a convenience zone. And within a convenience zone, they're supposed to have somebody recycle in there. And, well, the store creates the recycle zone, because once it's creates so much money, which is $1.5 million now. It goes out the hour. When you have a convenience zone, Cal Recycle pays that grocer in there when they have, it's called a handling fee. So, but they will only pay for one grocer in that convenience zone. So you're not going to see, I mean, you can come in and get another recycler there, but most recyclers won't go there. They don't want to there because they don't get a handling fee, so they're going to be going somewhere else. But you still have 8 convenience zones in this community that aren't served. And there's punishment for that. It's not, they don't have many choices. They either have to have recycling in their grocery store, and I call this punishment not to cities but to the grocers. The grocers have to, they have a lot of responsibility with hiring the right people to do their jobs. And the simplest thing that I see throughout the state are these bins. And there are people that are startups, there are people that are learning how to do workman's compensation, pay, they have to do all these things. There are a lot of families in there. You'll see cousins, uncles, and whatever working on these things. They're good people. The grocers are good people. But if the grocers are going to either have to have that kind of a facility, or the options that Cal Recycle gave them are very limited. I think I don't want to say words about what Cal Recycle has done. SB 1013 passed unanimously. I don't think the senators read what was all in there, because their options, if they don't have a recycling standard facility there, are, one, to establish a conglomerate with other people to create it somewhere else. If they didn't want it in their store, well, put it somewhere else in your community, in this area, which means they've got to rent land, have people hired somewhere off-site, take care of the accounting of them. I think the only stores that could really afford to do that and have the sophistication might be a Costco, where they have all the accounting, and maybe they could afford to rent someplace somewhere else. That's one of the alternatives. And the other one, as she said, is to have them indoors. But these places, indoor places, are big. I mean, you have to hire somebody practically. If you have, I guess you found 10 to 15 people an hour or something, that means you're going to hire somebody else in your store. And one of the worst things is these places are big. You come in with bags. Where do you store all this stuff if you're a grocer? And where do you have the processor come pick them up? And it's really so difficult that these options. And then if a grocer said, I'm not doing any of it, it's too much, I can't afford this. People are complaining, it's got all these problems with vagrants or whatever you might say, or blight. What they do is they'll fine you. It'll start out a little slow, maybe $1,000 a day. It can go up to $10,000 a day. How about your grocers? These are people that you depend on. So I'm here to say, whatever you do, don't do a use permit. Call it something else, because Cal Recycle has already said this use is supposed to be there, and that's the state mandate. This is what you're supposed to do. A use permit says, is this the use that's, may I have a little more time?
No, I'm sorry.
A use permit determines whether the use is appropriate for the site. That's what you'd be looking at. If it's minor, major, you're looking at a use.
Okay, thank you.
But you can put in other standards. Call it something else, and don't charge them thousands. These are little people that do this recycling.
The next, excuse me, ma'am, our next speaker is Tim James.
Would you allow me more time? A little bit more time?
No, ma'am, sorry.
Because I wanted to talk about the technology that hasn't discussed. That's an option for people coming up that might make a big difference for you.
Next speaker is Tim James.
Council members, Tim James, California Grocers Association. I'll endeavor to see if I can get you some time back. First of all, as the grocery industry, we're very invested in our communities, just as you all are as council members and, those who, the citizens that live here. We, support the communities, we feed the communities, this is where we choose to do business long-term. Totally recognize a lot of the issues that staff has brought up around concerns about some recycling centers with the stolen shopping carts, which we can, talk more about that at some other time if you all want, and some of the other blight issues. So not denying any of that. What I do really want to talk about is some concerns we have with where we're at in the process. But that's because I think there's bigger, better opportunities that we haven't quite discovered in the process yet. So 3 points I want to make quickly. First of all, you just always have to remember in this issue area that the CRV is a deposit, not a tax, not a fee, not a charge, it is a deposit. So the whole concept behind convenience zones is that it needs to be convenient for the customer to receive that deposit back, that 5 or 10 cents back. We have seen local governments over time with similar concerns look at proposals where they look to try to limit that and actually kind of run afoul of providing that convenience and either make it too difficult for their folks to get the redemption or actually make it difficult for grocers to comply with state law, and those have been deemed illegal. So I just kind of want to lay that out there that we kind of always have to think about that access issue. Another piece that I think we're a little bit concerned about and we think is a huge opportunity is we really haven't talked with the grocers. There really hasn't been outreach directly with the grocers. It looks like there was a wonderful job done with the recycling center, but really based on state law, we're the epicenter of where all this emanates from. And so understanding that, we're the ones that are actually going to take on a lot of the negative aspects if we get a policy wrong or if the recycling's not available. And there's been some discussion of that already. I won't enumerate that now. But what we really want to ask for tonight is take some additional time and sit down with your grocers and really understand what their opportunities and their challenges are. Do appreciate the sort of expanded comments tonight on SB 1013, which was passed in 2022. But we're also missing a huge chunk of that in this conversation. So what it does say is that you either have to have a recycling center within that mile zone. If you don't, you have two options. One option is to take it back in store. Less than ideal for everybody involved in that situation. The second one is, which I think was just alluded to, is the creation of dealer cooperatives. So what they did in 2022 with the state law is they basically tore down the entire old school CRV, old line recycling portion of that, and have built this opportunity for unserved grocers to come together under these dealer cooperatives, which are nonprofits, and figure out how to serve that convenience in very, very creative and brand new ways. So it's not you have to have a physical location within so much, if not, you're giving us money. Now we're talking about with this dealer cooperative opportunities of having mobile recycling, having bag drop, which is really popular in Oregon, having facilities like the one in Fair Oaks. Essentially the state lifted some of these old school rules and created opportunities for us to comply in ways that are new technology. What some of the concern is that if we start moving forward with policies, and I can see some of the technology I just mentioned that would not fit some of these policies up here, Citrus Heights could lose those opportunities to adopt this new recycling scheme that's coming through because of that state bill, but it could also prevent us from being able to comply and get, serve our role in that because we have those. Even like one of the things talking about mobile recycling, I don't know if you remember, I'm old enough to remember bookmobiles, but, imagine that similar kind of concept for the same, for the opportunity of recycling. Number 3, for example, wouldn't allow that. There's more and more examples of that. So what we're asking in just my few seconds is let's not commit to options tonight. Let's take some time, do the bigger, deeper dive, think about working with the grocers and getting some more information before you decide to move forward. Thank you. Sorry I didn't give you time back.
Thank you. The next speaker, and I have two more speakers, Tony Gonzalez.
Council members, thank you very much. I'm Tony Gonzalez. I represent Tomra North America, which is a recycling technology company that has operated throughout the United States and Canada for many, many years. I'm really grateful for the report that staff produced tonight. It was an excellent overview of the opportunities and challenges that you face here in Citrus Heights that, quite frankly, are faced throughout the state of California. Blight and related issues have been raised throughout the state, Southern California, Bay Area, Sacramento, Central Valley. These are issues that I have been talking about in the state capitol for many years. We did enact legislation, SB 1013, that you've heard about a few years ago. However, we did enact other pieces of legislation that provided funding to incentivize the transformation of this program, the Bottle Bill program, from what you're familiar with, what we're talking about tonight, the kinds of sites that, we'd like to see modernized, for lack of a better word at the moment, and we are doing that. We've begun to do that with the recycling center that was established just a few months ago in Fair Oaks, maybe only even about 10 minutes from here at 4802 San Juan Avenue. There is nothing like this recycling center anywhere else in the state of California. We and CalRecycle and Ivans Recycling identified this location in suburban Sacramento County because Sacramento County, quite frankly, is a recycling desert. I know and I agree that Citrus Heights has done its fair share, but the region generally is underserved, and we've identified and installed, with the help of CalRecycle, this recycling center, which has already been proven to be a wild success. It is clean, it is approachable. You get paid by count, not by weight. You can get paid by weight, but you get paid by count. And that is a very big deal for consumers. I'll say one more thing, and then I'll lead to my conclusion. In California, when you're paid by weight, what that means is you're not getting paid back what you paid in when you bought those containers. What ends up happening, for reasons that are somewhat esoteric and complicated to explain here, is that the vast majority of these containers that are being redeemed by individuals who, for the most part, were not the individuals who purchased the containers. Technology changes all of that. What it enables and makes possible and incentivizes are the people who bought the containers when they were full, they paid the CRV, the deposit. They now, because it is convenient and safe and clean, to bring their own containers back as opposed to having someone else bring them. Lastly, just my last point, I want to jump on what Mr. James just mentioned a minute ago, and that is that if we could have, and this is not a lengthy dialogue I'm encouraging here, but I would like to see, and I'd like to be invited to, the stakeholder conversation about how we can address these issues so that we promote recycling, but promote what you want to see more of, which is a clean, attractive, safe place for the residents of Citrus Heights to redeem their empty beverage containers. Thank you very much.
I have a question.
Yes.
So I do by count. You have the 50 count limit at this automated, is there a 50 count limit as there is at?
State law allows for state law allows for a maximum of 50 count of 50 containers per consumer. But as I understand it, at Simply Recycle, there is an option to go well beyond 50 containers.
So if you keep plugging them into the machine?
No, there is the reverse vending machine where you can place the empty containers individually. There's also an option to empty your bag, so to speak, so that the machine, you empty your bag of containers or 10 bags of containers into the machine. It counts, it sorts, and pays you by count.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. And our last speaker is, wait a minute. Let me double check this. Oh, maybe I don't have another one. Hang on 1 second. I think that's it. think I put David on the top and on the bottom. Okay, I think that's it for our speakers. So now,
And Mayor, I did have one written comment on this
sorry.
item.
please
Um,
read it.
So the written comment was submitted by Tony Hackett, and he states, on behalf of consumers in Citrus Heights, beverage dealers, and the objectives of the Beverage Container Recycling Act, we encourage staff, the Planning Commission, and City Council to work with local recyclers, retailers, and other stakeholders to support and sustain standards for redemption centers that best serve the community rather than arbitrarily restricting recycling locations in compliance with state law and community waste reduction and recycling objectives. And that concludes his written comment.
Thank you. Okay, I think that's everybody. Did anybody fill out a card that I somehow misfiled? No, okay, good. Pleasure of council. I'll start with Councilmember Middleton. Good questions or comments?
I guess a few suggestions, comments, and just see where the rest of my colleagues head. Let me pull my notes up. It's obvious we have to do this, right? We don't really have much of a choice. But I think that whatever decision we make, we need to talk about controlled expansion, modernization, and enforcement. Those things need to be key in order to make sure retailers are being supported, that we're addressing blight and other issues. Some of my ideas around that, which, you gave me this kind of matrix, and I kind of picked and chose what I thought might work. I could be wrong. So we could talk about just new centers only in the underserved convenience zone areas. And if we have to expand, limit new centers to 4. And I've heard the request about, conditional use permits or use permits, so maybe we don't trek down that path too far. Also, with our current owners, have them try to transition to indoor or enclosed facilities, offer some type of incentive to make that happen. Maybe we could find grant funding or some type of fast tracking of approvals. But more importantly, I would think that we want to mandate improved site design standards. So if you're there already, make sure that there are security cameras that are monitored, proper fencing if necessary. And if there needs to be somebody on site during hours of operation, just making sure that that's being adhered to. And I think if we do that well, it'll really make it easier for our POP and impact teams to continue to work with our cleanup crews and making sure those areas are kept clean. The only thing I don't have an answer for is the shopping carts, because geez Louise, if you're driving them 2 miles down the road, come on, guys, leave the
That's
carts
why
where
we
they
have a
belong.
shopping cart ordinance, though.
I know, and it still didn't work. But those are my ideas and comments.
Councilmember Nelson.
Thank you, Mayor. I agree with what I heard from Councilmember Middleton, and I am actually inclined to combine all of these recommendations. I think it would behoove everyone if the recycling center was actually located right next to the retailer in that same shopping center. I think it would be a benefit for more eyes on the center, having it an indoor location. And I'm curious if the CalRecycle organization runs out of funds, or if they want to work with the retailers to provide funds to the recycle center. I'd be curious what can happen with that. And I do think that we need to talk about it more, and based on the public comment tonight. So I'm excited to see where we take it from here.
Councilmember Schaefer.
Thank you, Mayor. Have we talked to grocers about this issue?
We have not. It's something that we can certainly do, and it sounds like they have some good ideas on how to do it, and there's a collective need for the grocers to maybe work together on something, so it's something we can certainly do.
Yeah, I certainly like the idea of the nonprofit cooperative that was mentioned. And I really think that this is a problem that we can let the industry solve instead of coming up with our own solution for this. I think that they're bound by this SB 1013. I think allowing them to take a crack at this first before we start moving into a regulation is the right move.
I have to agree with my colleague. I I think it's really important that we don't miss a voice in this conversation with the grocers. That was an excellent point from Mr. Gonzalez and Mr. Hackett. So I think we should do that first and then maybe share these ideas and see what seems like the best mix for them, considering they sit on that side of the conversation. Since you've already included our recycling centers, have they seen this matrix of options or ideas? Okay, so you do have their input, and I think to complete the loop, let's get those grocers involved.
I think we're doing a great job as a council because we've come up, I think, with a, uniform suggestion to continue this with some roundtables and involve the part of the community. On the other hand, Councilmember Middleton brings up a whole bunch of good things about what we do with our current problem. I mean, that's not our future. I think the future is still to be determined, but we need to come up with, how to combat the blight, the shopping carts, and I think there has been an improvement since we started this conversation. I think all of the 4 that we have made improvements over the months. I go with Mr. Shelton to the farmers. I think it's fine there. It's clean. It's like you say, the families come. And if we do number 4 and allow existing operations to do any changes, if they're limited to 600 feet and they need an extra 100 feet to do something nice and make it cleaner or nicer, then we should be able to give them that. I wasn't aware of, it seems to me that the grocery stores are the ones that have the problems because they're wanting some independent company to come and take away their burden, to go open up a store in one of those convenience centers so that they don't have to take in the buckets of stuff. And now that wine bottles are 10 cents a piece, that's a big load. So I'm a recycler. I take my money and I put it in an envelope on my way out of my recycle, and one day I opened my envelope and I had $300 in it. So we got some stats from one of the people who commented, and it says Citrus Heights actually recycles 60% of what we pay in. So I kind of think that's not doing our share. That's doing our just desserts. I paid that money to the state and I want it back. So, okay, so I think our direction is not to do much about future stuff right now because the way I understand council members, but to come up with something for the existing and maybe a number 4. Does that sound good?
So what I'm hearing is maybe front load an ordinance change to specifically address the existing centers and bring that sooner while we're having a conversation with
Correct.
the Grocery Association on how to attack the newer centers, using these ideas as a baseline and having a conversation with them. How can we make this work? How can we make it better to probably overall reduce the overall number we need in the community in the future and kind of have some advantages of sharing there as well as making sure they're clean and tidy. Does that sound accurate?
That sounds good. And Councilmember Schaefer?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. What kind of time frame do you think we could get to? Could we meet with grocers and come up with a plan in the next 6 months?
Absolutely, I think that should.
If we did that in the next 6 months, I don't know that we may not come up with the best decision in dealing with our existing recyclers. They might come up with a better solution for the whole industry, for our current programs. So I know we talked about this first back in September. And so I'd be in favor of just, let's just kind of table this until we're able to get the industry involved. And I would much rather have the industry regulate themselves than me put out some kind of new regulation or even regulate our current, change any part of the regulation on our current operations.
Mayor, I have a comment. I agree that moving forward with any new establishments and any new technologies that can be implemented, definitely we need to have a robust conversation with all parties involved. But I don't think that we should continue to let blight and these things kind of go continue in the advancement that they are for the sake of holding off until we get everybody's, conversations had. If we have a problem right now here in Citrus Heights with what's going on at current, locations, we should be addressing them spot on, because the first thing we're going to hear is our neighbors coming to us saying, hey, it's out of control. Well, I am not going to tell my folks like, oh, well, we're going to sit and wait for 6 months until we have a proper solution. We can have our officers enforce. We can ask these folks to say, hey, can you do some modernization? Can we help connect them with any type of funding to help them? Because you've said, Casey, if I'm not mistaken, that they're already putting in applications to do that. So why not just kind of direct them in that way so that at least we're on the right track?
Certainly.
You support that?
Yeah, that sounds good.
You
To
support that?
enhance the current
Yes, I would
facilities.
support that.
Are you going to change your mind and
Nope.
support that? Okay, so
I said my piece.
it looks like you have the majority of council agree with Councilmember Middleton's approach to work at least with some of the existing, because, we didn't start this because, we started it because there was a problem, and I don't know that we've solved the problem. So I think we need to, I don't know if we need more rules, but whatever we need, come up with something to do the problem.
Okay, well, I think we have heard you loud and clear. I think we can continue to work with our existing ones and also brainstorm with
Right.
potential new ones, and then we can also ramp up enforcement accordingly on some of the things that we've been working on already.
And I also want information on what the other lady, the lady who wanted more time, that she said once one, gets in that concentric circle, that eliminates the others. So I don't know, I didn't understand that, so if you could explain that at one of your future.
Well, that is a good point. I mean, right now, as Allison described, if we were to get an application in tomorrow, we would have there are certain regulations to rely on that are in place. So there's a chance one could come in and not serve as many convenience zones as we would like. So that's just something to be aware of. If the council wanted to do something sooner, we could do something along the lines of requiring any future one to be in a convenience zone, and that would limit it to just the concentric circles you see here. That would prevent a proliferation or one being located that is maybe not serving
I'd
us
like
in our.
to see what Walmart comes up with. I like to see what Folsom and Rockland come up with that don't have any recycling centers. So that's, their stores are going to have to recycle in store, right? If they don't have any convenience zones.
Or be fined significant numbers from the speaker earlier today.
So those communities, yeah. That was maybe the bus you saw pull up to the recycle center was probably somebody from Folsom. Okay, so do we need to do anything? You got direction?
I think council's provided clear direction, work with the existing centers, and then do expanded stakeholder outreach and come back with regulations that are informed by that stakeholder outreach.
Absolutely, sounds like a plan. Can we move the item on the traffic signal boxes to another meeting? And proceed the rest of the calendar, and then, because we have a long night, and we have a
That's-
closed session at the end of this.
That's at the pleasure of the council. We could ultimately bring that back.
I'll second that.
Okay, because that's not an immediate need, so we can put that off.
Director Cave, are we okay on that?
Because we have a closed session after this, and it looks like we won't get out till about 11:30, so let's continue on our calendar, though. Next item, if we don't do that item.
So the next item is Department Reports number 14. It's the flash vote results on code enforcement beautification efforts by the Economic Development and Community Engagement Department and the City Manager's Office.
We'll keep you on, Megan, we'll keep you on our calendar.
Thank you. I promise I will be quick but effective.
Okay, good.
Good evening, Mayor Karpinski Costa and City Council. I'm Megan Huber, Economic Development and Community Engagement Director. This is a department report, a little bit unique in that it will be a combo department report. I'll be presenting this information along with City Manager Feeney, as it is on a recent flash vote. And flash votes are an important tool, and the tool, combined with the subject that this is on, directly relates to council's strategic objectives and strategic goals. So that's why we'd like to spend some time on it this evening. For folks viewing at home who might not be familiar, Flash Vote is a survey tool that we use to collect statistically valid community sentiment data. And it happens across all subject matter. We've done it on our housing element, on economic development, on strategic planning, and more. We recently issued our newest Flash Vote on the subject of code enforcement. Flash votes are really important because it allows us to keep our finger on the pulse of emerging, all the way to urgent community needs and priorities, which is why code enforcement became a subject for the most recent flash vote. There was a series of happenings and current events that we're going to review with you this evening to help provide context and history that informed the survey, and then we'll review the results together. So first and foremost, it's certainly beautification is one of the most used words in the Citrus Heights community right now. We have spent a ton of resources, bandwidth, and sweat equity to beautify Citrus Heights, and that is embodied by our Citrus Heights Cares campaign. The Citrus Heights Cares campaign has 3 calls to action: report, maintain, and chip in. We've done so much work educating our community on what these calls to action mean and why they're important. Report means submitting service requests for needs in your neighborhood or out and about in our community. Maintain means taking care of our own property to make sure our neighborhoods and commercial areas shine. And chip in means to volunteer and go beyond our own borders to contribute to community beautification together. So we've made a ton of great efforts in reporting. You can see at the bottom right the live service request dashboard that's chock full of submitted service requests from our community needs that are being met by our beautification crew and other city services. We've made a ton of progress in our chip in category, launching our volunteer hub, community events, and more. And we've represented our maintain category by immersive education, as represented by our citywide mailer at the top left of the screen, that provided the top 10 ways residents can maintain their residences, easy, low-hanging fruit actions to beautify our neighborhoods and create a tide that lifts all ships. So advancing that Citrus Heights Cares campaign, we've definitely noticed that there is an ability to dive deeper into that maintain category, continuing to educate our residents and our commercial property owners about how to maintain, along with the standards of care that exist within the City of Citrus Heights zoning, municipal code, and other regulations. The second category of information that provides context for the most recent flash vote is a series of previous flash votes. Like I said, we issue these on a plethora of subjects, and there have been 2 previous surveys that really indicated a need to collect more community sentiment data on the subject of code enforcement so that we're better informed about our community needs and priorities. So I'm going to go through some of the snapshots from each of those surveys that show this is an emerging priority, and then view the most recent flash vote on the code enforcement subject live and talk it through together. So first up, we issued a survey in November 2024, late last year. The title was a Blight Update Survey, and this is an intention that we've set to issue an annual flash vote survey specifically on blight abatement and beautification so that we can annually benchmark metrics that objectively measure our beautification and blight abatement efforts. So this is focused on our beautification of public spaces, the city-led programs that are out beautifying, collecting shopping carts, and doing all of the hard work of public space blight abatement. The most significant statistic that emerged from that survey, I'm happy to say, is that when we ask residents residents, how well do you think blight is being managed in Citrus Heights today? Again, framed around public space, blight abatement and beautification. I'm very happy to report we achieved a 3% sentiment improvement in overall blight abatement rating from 2022 to 2023, along with a 4% sentiment improvement in overall blight abatement rating from 2023 to 2024. What that did essentially was tip the scales of our community sentiment from unfavorable to favorable. We are doing this job well, the beautification of public spaces. Now, that certainly does not mean we are done yet. In a lot of regard, it is an infinite game, but it's important to measure our progress to make sure we're getting this job done as much as possible. And this is a great report card, and we're looking forward to seeing continuous improvement as we benchmark even more. Now, what caught our eye as we were analyzing this November 2024 flash vote on blight abatement and beautification updates wasn't the data, because again, it was designed to measure progress in the city's work. What really caught our attention were the comments that the surveyors left beneath each question. And I've pulled them out here in two categories as it relates to both residential property and commercial property, to give us an idea of, when we talk about blight abatement and beautification, what is it our residents are thinking about now? So to get a snapshot here, residential, I'm just going to read a few of these quotes out to you. Again, these are word for word. Blight abatement is an issue with poorly maintained yards and homes. The city should drive neighborhoods and advise homeowners or landlords of properties that their property has blight and they need to do something about the blight. We all have responsibilities to be good neighbors. Landlords should be required to take care of their yards and houses if their tenants don't, or if vacant. Residents need to water, maintain lawns and landscapes. Some neighborhoods look, quote, third world. There are more and more homes falling in disarray to the point that they look like homes in a slum area. Landlords need to be held accountable and take care of their property, and if they don't, the city should hire someone to fix, clean, and maintain, and charge the property owner for the work and assess a sliding scale fine for how bad and how long it's been blighted, in addition to the cost of the maintenance. Junk cars left visible on properties throughout the neighborhood, holiday decorations left out year-round that collect debris. Moving on to the commercial category, ugly commercial properties get a pass from the city. They are most visible, and yet they aren't required to maintain their property. Walgreens parking lot is bad. Management don't do enough to rid homeless in parking lot and on their sidewalks. The city does a good job, but the area behind the bank and business areas by Lycan Drive seem to be an issue even with oversight. I do not feel comfortable going to the ATM or doing business at my bank because of the unhoused being around. They are in the area often. It has gotten to the point where shops are closing down or losing business/quality because there are 4 people full-time living in front of the doors into the store. I am seeing less and less young families moving into the area because it is becoming unsafe. Look at Copperwood Square area and the backside of 7-Eleven on Sunrise. Lots to fix, clean, and homeless nightly. So we certainly picked up some themes. These were proactive comments, not solicited in any way, of organic response to these survey questions. Moving on, excuse me, Council, just a little tickle. Moving on, we issued another flash vote in January 2025 on the topic of economic development. As council may recall, you very recently heard about this in the presentation from last council meeting on the economic development work plan, which was unanimously approved. There was a portion of the economic development work plan that focused on the revitalization of our commercial properties, corridors, and eventual beautification so that we are able to effectively attract and recruit businesses. And Councilmember Schaefer, I want to acknowledge the great conversation that we had during the Q&A period of the presentation, where you brought up the spectrum of commercial property ownership and what that means for attention or non-attention to our commercial properties. So, and a question in this survey, what, if anything, prevents you from shopping or dining more in Citrus Heights? The second highest rated selection, coming in at almost 40%, as deemed by our residents, the second highest prevention factor is that shopping centers or building storefronts need renovations. I want to acknowledge that is the second. There is a number one, and it's not enough higher-end restaurants and stores. I don't think we need the connection point that we need great real estate to be able to attract great businesses. Another question in the same economic development survey was, what do you think would be most helpful to get desired businesses coming to Citrus Heights? By a landslide, overwhelmingly, the number one response at 70%, again, this is statistically valid community sentiment data. So we can say from this, 70% of our community thinks the thing that would be the most helpful to get desired businesses to come to Citrus Heights is to make commercial areas look nicer and cleaner. And again, a ton of common threads pulling back into our recently approved economic development work plan and the importance of that to be able to achieve all of our other economic development goals. So with that background and context, I'm going to go ahead and pull up our most recent flash vote. Amy, am I going to pull it up? If not, I can give it a quick Google. I can always count on City Clerk Amy Van to save the day. Thank you, Amy. So this is the most recent flash vote survey on code enforcement. At the top, you can see that we have 756 residents currently subscribed to Flash Vote. I do want to take the opportunity right now to ask residents who are viewing, if you are not already signed up for Flash Vote, please sign up because this is a great way in having your voice heard. You can visit citrusheights.net/stay connected. This is a great response rate for this survey that achieves a plus or minus 5% margin of error. So again, underscoring statistically valid, we can cite conclusive results based on this data. The first question is, the City of Citrus Heights has rules or codes to help maintain the condition of neighborhoods, commercial areas, and public spaces. These codes include requirements for things like parking, junk removal, building maintenance, and landscaping. The code compliance team identifies and addresses code violations to support a clean, safe, and well-maintained community. Prior to reading this, which best describes what you knew about code compliance in Citrus Heights? First takeaway here is we have an educated community. 55% of our residents know about the code and the kinds of things it covers, and we still have lots of room to do more education. I don't want to geek out too much on this data, but this flash vote has the ability to filter data results based on other questions. So if you have some time and you want to play around with it, what we can do is look at every subsequent question sliced up that shows the answers of folks who are educated on codes and familiar, and then folks who are uneducated, which provide us even more ways to know exactly what residents are thinking, where the education is needed, and how we make all of these connection points. The second question, based on community feedback, the City of Citrus Heights has worked to improve community image by beautifying public spaces and public rights-of-way. That feedback has also highlighted some interest in improving the appearance of commercial areas and neighborhoods. What do you think about the current amount of code enforcement to improve appearances of commercial areas and neighborhoods in Citrus Heights? The options are a sliding scale going from need a lot less to need a lot more, with an option to select unsure. As we can deduce from the graph, 65% of residents think some amount of additional code enforcement is needed. That is a straight takeaway. There is one more way to look at this graph that's even more compelling, and that is as a ratio. Looking at it as a ratio of support versus non-support of additional code enforcement. And we look at it that way. Imagine this graph as a bell curve, which means we take out the middle. We take out the percentage that says it seems about right because we've already hit the spot for them, again, still a minority, so we have plenty of numbers to play with. And when we do that and we measure support of additional code enforcement versus non-support, this graph shows that residents, Citrus Heights residents, 20-1 support some level of additional code enforcement.
And if I could just add here, Director Huber, one of the things that you're seeing here is the team, as was outlined earlier, spent a lot of time with the CARES campaign. This council's been very interested in improving our public spaces. And those, I mean, I have a background in development and home building, always would think about our entry points to our neighborhoods, our master plans, your walkways, your landscaping. So if you kind of equate it that way, we've really put a big focus with the roadway improvements with our 3-year pavement preservation plan, the beautification crew, the work we're doing with our POP officers on improving that public realm to make sure the community presents in a very good way. So the walkways and the doormat for the community home, if you will, we're made a lot of progress there. But to go to that next phase, what we're seeing with a lot of the sentiment is like, okay, well, I want to make sure the threshold is really clean and that we open the door and, the community home looks good. And that's where we go from that public realm to that private realm. But since we've been making so much progress on that public realm, now it's like, okay, how do we continue to make these advancements? And that's what I kind of take away from this data when I see it.
Megan, this 20-1 is, I can't see from my vision issues.
Mhm.
Is this the commercial, or is this all over everything?
The way it's phrased is appearances of commercial areas and neighborhoods.
Oh, okay.
I do have another question that talks more about real estate segments.
Okay.
So that'll be next.
Okay.
And this is the one. So question 3, if the city were to do more code enforcement to improve how the city looks, which do you think needs the most improvement? Choose one. The options were coming in at number 1, 39%, all areas need improvement. So there were 3 options given: residential, commercial, high visibility combo, right? And at 40% coming in, number 1 selection, all of these need about equal improvement. Coming in after that was the high visibility and high traffic areas, inclusive of major corridors, other busy roads through residential or commercial areas, and still significant chunks divided up between each of those 3 categories. So really, when you consider how folks are answering this question, this is a conservative response that really still reflects that 20-1 support. Another quick note on flash vote, if you'd like to get in and play around yourself. Sometimes at the bottom, you'll see a hyperlink that will expand options, and I'd encourage you to click on that because there can be fill-in, write-in fields where folks can share additional thoughts. So this question had an other category, and these were, this flash vote creates a word cloud based on those responses, and then we can read the responses individually as well.
Mayor, may I comment?
Go.
This is great information. It is fantastic. I actually would have liked to see all this before we had the previous item. It would have impacted my opinion about what we should have done. What was the right move? Oh, just for future reference, if we have feedback from our residents, and we have a highly sensitive topic like this, I think this is being able to digest this and then reflect on that previous item would have been helpful.
He's sorry he voted against Portia's idea.
It's a great comment, Councilmember Schaefer, and we'll make sure to take that into consideration for future agenda order.
Thank you.
Thanks for that reflection. Moving on to question 4. What specific areas of code enforcement should be the highest priority for the city, if any? I'm going to first highlight these in ranking order, and then I'd like to talk about them a little bit in reflection of residential and commercial categories. So hang with me for a second. Coming in number one, the number one area of focus that our residents think needs increased code enforcement at 60% is visibly abandoned and run-down commercial buildings or lots. Coming in second with 53%, residential junk, debris, or inoperable items, vehicles visible in yards. Coming in third, commercial lot maintenance, overgrown dead vegetation or high grass and weeds. And then tie commercial building maintenance along with long-term street parking. So considering how these priorities fall into our residential and commercial property considerations, certainly we're seeing what we're hearing with this feedback is a holistic approach with commercial properties. We're talking corridor and commercial area revitalization, right? So abandoned and rundown commercial buildings and lots. Let's fix them. Commercial lot maintenance. No more dead vegetation or high grass and weeds. And commercial building maintenance. That is a 360 glow up. There is a commercial property beautification and blight abatement need, is what this tells us.
But this was pick 4, right? So people could.
Yep.
Can you tell if they stick to commercial and high visibility streets versus residential? Or were they equally residential, commercial? Can you tell?
A good question. I don't think we can use a filter to. Let me look into that. Let me play around with it a little bit and see. That's a great question. But considering this second category of residential property maintenance, what I see is something a little bit different. It's not that same comprehensive approach that we're hearing in commercial properties here. When we consider the top responses as it relates to residential property maintenance, we hear the most important aspects to our community are residential junk, debris or inoperable items, vehicles visible in yards, and residential yard maintenance, high grass and weeds. You can see coming in much lower at 19% is residential building maintenance. So I want to point out here, and it's really important context to make sure we're listening to community feedback, is I don't see a comprehensive approach in those responses for residential property. This is not aggressive, long list fix-its. This is really, let's get it up so we can take pride in our neighborhood together. Let's increase our curb appeal together. Let's feel good about coming home together, is what I see. And then finally, I don't want to forget, and this transcends residential and commercial property, and we know it's an issue because I know we all hear from community members frequently about long-term street parking, either residential or in our commercial areas, be it abandoned vehicles, RVs, trailers, boats on streets. That is a priority when we ask our community at 43%. So this question has a response for other as well, like the previous, where folks can write in what their own priorities are as they see them. This is the word cloud that's populated, the most significant words in those responses, which totaled 32. So it's a pretty significant response for other. We see the words parks, homeless, street, need. And like I said, these are available to scroll through to get a better idea of what's important to individual residents as they're answering these questions. And I'm seeing residential and commercial reflections in those comments as well. So one final question, any other comments or suggestions about expectations or needs for code enforcement? And I don't, it's right there in the middle, frankly, the word cloud, the highest population need is need code enforce. So there it is. This question had a great number of responses, and these are my favorites when we get a high volume because it really allows us to see trends, what these ideas and needs and priorities that are coming to people organically that are really a match across the board once we have a chance to review this data all together. So just looking through here, let's go. We love enthusiasm. We're hearing it, certainly. Let's see. Need to clear vegetation away from sidewalks would be great. Definitely step up some specific complaints about activity in their own neighborhoods, proactive, not just complaint-driven. This survey, along with the results, is public. It's available on the Citrus Heights Flash Vote website, and the link is certainly readily available with a quick Google.
I have a quick comment.
Mm-hmm.
Did you happen to notice the code enforcement should cite the city for code violations?
Oh, well, certainly if there's an issue out there, I'd encourage the resident to download the SeeClickFix app and submit a service request, and they have our commitment to remediate that quickly.
Report, maintain, chip in.
Report, maintain, chip in. So that is the overview of our most recent flash vote. And I hope that has been helpful. These are really important to us as we consider how to approach staff recommendations and readily inform council and make sure you have all the information and resources you need to make decisions for our community. The next steps, as we see them on this topic, is discussion and potential staff recommendations at the City Council's strategic planning retreat later in March.
Makes sense. Does anyone have comments right now? Okay, we'll wait for the strategic planning retreat.
That sounds great. City Manager
Thank you for
Feeney,
that
before I
presentation.
close, is anything to add?
I think I just want to just quickly say a lot of progress based on the council's policies and priorities have been made in beautifying this city and just taking the temperature of where the community wants to continue to take it. We do that with these flash vote surveys, and so excited to go ahead and see the robust participation that was there. And
Well, as Megan said, we've done a lot, but we have a lot more to do, so.
continual progress. So thank you, Director Huber, for sharing those results, and we'll look forward to talking more about that at the City Council Strategic Planning Retreat. But like I say, a lot of work on the public realm. Looks like now we're going to start talking about doormats and thresholds potentially. So.
And it's good to see our flash vote participants is increasing, too. As we report this, people know they can sign up for it.
Yes, but we're never happy with the subscription rate. We always need more subscribers. So again, if anyone is not currently signed up for Flash Vote, please visit citrusheights.net/stay-connected.
Thank you, Megan. Next item, please.
All right, well, I have city manager updates as the next item. And so Ash Feeney, your city manager. Good evening, Madam Mayor, Madam Vice Mayor, members of the council. I do have a couple of really quick updates for you. One of them is, what was referenced tonight during public comment was bringing back our problem-oriented policing unit. And that unit, my understanding, used to be a sergeant and two problem-oriented policing officers. What the vision for this unit is ultimately to go, we have our Lieutenant Bill Dunning, who's pictured there. We also have our officers Felicia Taylor, who I know this council knows well, and also Michael Machado, who I've had the opportunity to do a ride-along with in the past, or his beat partner, but we spent a lot of time together. Two great officers that are really dedicated to the vision and the cause. And there's also two additional positions that we're planning on bringing onto that unit. I've reviewed that in its entirety with Chief Turcott, and there would also be a sergeant, as there was historically, that supports this unit. So really expanding it from what it was in the past. And then also I just want to say, while this is the POP unit, there's also a general philosophy on quality of life and making sure that we're getting at these nuisance crimes. And even our patrol officers will sometimes execute a POP project while if they're not necessarily part of this unit, they are still, that's part of the DNA and the culture that we're working to enhance here in Citrus Heights. So again, it was reestablished in January, works collaboratively with the beautification crew, and will be working very closely with our neighborhood areas, local businesses and residents. And how you reach the POP officers, we have a dedicated phone number. We also have pop@citrusheights.net. And Lieutenant Dunning will be doing a road show, I know, at our neighborhood areas. And he's actually going to be a speaker at the community dinner that's occurring through the Resident Empowerment Association for Citrus Heights Reach that's coming up. So he'll also provide an overview at that dinner about the POP unit and how to engage with them. I know that Chief Turcott's also working with his team to get the word out in some press releases too, not only about the unit, but how to engage.
When you say this is a dedicated number.
Yeah, it's just a
Is-
dispatch number.
That's our regular dispatch number.
Excuse
so you
me.
get it.
So
So that's
it
not-
is.
Is it going to be like a press 4 for POP or something like this?
Right now, we have this number here, and Lieutenant Dunning is going to be expanding on that at his talk, and then I will also be articulating that. But what I heard earlier was see-click-fix is how you reach POP. No, we have our dispatch number. We also have pop@citrusheights.net. So
I'm glad we have POP at Citrus
yeah,
Heights.
and
We used to always
dispatch
have that, yeah.
can, and also Lieutenant Dunning will also be introducing himself to our neighborhood area leaders. He has a business card as well with how to contact him personally.
Great.
We have an upcoming meeting, Scam Stopper Seminar. This is hosted by our senator representative and our assembly member, Roger Nilo and Josh Hoover. And they are going to be here at City Hall on Thursday, March 6th at 6 p.m. to talk about how to protect yourself from fraud and scams. So they'll have a live Q&A and really kind of pushing out a Scam Stopper seminar. And I think, unfortunately, many of us see those kind of scams trying to get to us every day, and unfortunately, some people do fall victim to them. So they'll be talking about how to address that. And then finally, it's not a slide, but I will announce this at the next city council meeting with more details. But I understand that Supervisor Rosario Rodriguez is also looking to do a Citrus Heights meeting on March 17th. So hold that on your calendar,
We're
and
green.
we'll have more
We're green.
details on that at the next meeting.
Can wear green.
And wear green, absolutely, yeah, absolutely. And that's all my comments for this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Ash. Next item?
Next item is items requested by council members or future agenda items.
Anybody? I have one small one. I'll ask for a second. In line with getting involved with students and stuff, in the old days, we used to attend Eagle Scout when Eagle Scouts got their awards. Is it possible when an Eagle Scout gets an award that we recognize our Eagle Scouts?
Do you want the Eagle Scouts that are Citrus Heights residents?
Yes. Is that a possibility?
I know some people that know Scouts. We can put that out to the Pioneer District and see
that idea?
if we can't get that.
I get a, okay,
Yeah.
I got a second, I got a third and a fourth and a fifth, okay.
All right, well, I happen to be attending
Well,
the
you're
Camporee
involved in
coming soon,
scouting,
so
and I
I'll
just
put that out
wondered-
there.
I think they deserve, community recognition, that's all.
Yeah, absolutely. Eagle Scouts, that's the pinnacle of scouting, and that would be terrific. I'm sure they would love to have the mayor and council honor that.
Okay, great,
Put the word out.
thanks.
And the next item is, if there's no other further items or items requested by council members.
No, we don't, so I'm going to adjourn to closed session.
Okay, thank you.